It's the exercise room?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's the hotel.
This is great. We're the dancing girls.
Yes. I think we're it. We're the dancing Mato Locos. So now the question I always had is, if Chewy was your brother.
Oh, are you going to start that again?
Yes. Were you a Vato Loco?
Because that's the first thing I say is, where'd you get that placa?
Let's get that black.
Yeah, I know.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
Nice to meet you, brother.
You as well, I'm a fan, homie.
I'm a fan, brother. Shit. It goes both ways, my dog.
Yeah, brother.
Yes, sir. Welcome, brother. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Legendary.
Likewise.
Thank you, brother.
Likewise. Thank you for having us.
We just opened up in New Mexico now, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Which city?
Albuquerque.
Burques.
Yeah.
You know, that's where Jimmy Santiago Baca's from, the writer of Blood In, Blood Out. We'll go over there and visit.
We have to, bro.
Yeah.
We have to.
Because the homie's there, dude. First of all, you gotta have an official 30th anniversary Blood In, Blood Out
Wow.
banner, right? And we'll all hit, us three will hit it up. Boom. So we got that, right?
Yeah.
And then,
Getting Franny going up in here ASAP. We got a lot of naked
and then
walls
of course, you gotta have some of Adan Hernandez's art from the movie.
Yes.
Who's the real Cruzito, the artist who did it.
I have that on my wall.
Adan was the artist who did the art for my character because I don't really paint.
Oh, okay.
But Adan was Gilbert, the drug dealer in the gallery.
Oh, shit. He's an artist?
Dude, he's a real Chicano painter. Yeah.
That's my real name, Gilbert.
From San. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Gilbert. The real Gilbert right here. You know that Gilbert, he can smell money a mile away.
Man, it really can. You already know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, baby. An original La Onda home.
Wow. Hard as fuck, dude.
For you and you alone, the original exclusive Popeyes. Cheers! Hey! Look at that. These are the official.
Oh, man. This is the most classic shit ever right here, dude. I swear to God. My dad's gonna love this shit.
All right.
Come on to get them about to be on the bed like this.
I am not just Popeye. I have done other things. The official Star Trek baseball card from Deep Space Nine.
Wow, dude.
Have fun. And these are Popeye's shoes.
Oh, shit.
These are the actual shoes worn by Popeye Saavedra in the movie.
Wow, dude. Probably one of the most legendary characters ever. Ever.
In the last scene, as he walks off the screen, never to be seen again, these are the shoes.
He said, tell him to suck my pee-pee.
You can tell Werner that if he really wants these shoes, he could suck my pee-pee. Werner. Oh yeah, Werner, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
You gotta give me some chon-chon.
No! Say it isn't so. No, Miklo, stay straight. Don't get involved.
You want me to
Stay straight, pendejo. Stay straight, pendejo. Don't get involved. That's really what I was saying. I realize it now.
He said, you want me to suck your pee-pee? Oh, man. I thought the day I heard unreleased Tupac vocals was like a life goal type thing for me. But, you know, today is a life goal situation for me. I got the cast, part of the cast of my favorite movie. I think a lot of our favorite movie in the building. I would introduce each other, you know, but I don't want to say your names wrong because the way you said it was way better than I could say it. The way you rolled your last name and the way you rolled your last name as well. I'm not going to put disrespect. So if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Brother, ever. We're here because we want to honor everything you've done. Jesse Borrego right here.
I couldn't have said it like that.
Professional actor.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for having us. I am Carlos. I'm going to hit you with the big stick. I am Carlos Enrique Carrasco Mandeville.
See, I couldn't have said that. And the way you hit your last name, the whole voice just changed. It's amazing. So I'm glad I did it the way I did it. All
Okay,
right?
yes.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And I'm Victor Rivers, and also professional actor.
Some of the best
And a writer,
actors.
too.
Writer too.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a
Great
book that's been out for about 15 years called The Private Family Matter, and it's currently sitting at Amazon, Netflix, and NBC for a limited series. So we'll see what happens.
True story.
True story. Well, today I think it was more like a gift to have you guys come here. From my partners at Four Ways, they told me they could make this happen. My eyes lit up. They went real big. I was like, there's no way that this is possible because, man, look, when I say I probably watched this movie, I don't know, probably 1,000 times. My current girl now, my baby mama, she has a baby on the way due in March. The first test, this is my version of a Mario test. I don't know if you've ever seen The Bronx Tale, right? My version is like, you want to watch a movie? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what's she want to watch? I'm like, I want to watch Blood and Blood Out. You ever seen it? She's like, nah. All right, cool. Try on YouTube. Why YouTube? That's because the streaming services are whack and don't have it right now. And so we start watching, and we're halfway through the movie and they hit this little silent spot on YouTube, right? I'm like, damn, the link we got is bad. We went through 3 other links and I said, you know what? Hold up. Went to my little vintage little shelf in the front room and grabbed the DVD. I said, play the DVD player in. And she said, you know what she said? Start from scratch so we're not all thrown off. I said, you're the one. Probably marry that girl because of that. So that's my Mario test. You know what I'm saying? It's an important movie to the whole culture. I think that you guys have impacted people from my generation to even my father's generation. He was so excited today about this. He's 74. You know what I'm saying? He was like,
send him my love, man.
Yeah, he said, there's no way you're going to sit down with these guys today. So you guys did a good job. And I was fired up to have you guys here.
Well, congrats to Four Ways Entertainment. But, for us, knowing the brand and knowing you as a businessman and always wanting to support, Latino-owned businesses, I think it was important for us to celebrate the 30 years of this classic together.
Crazy, man. It's been 30 years.
It has.
It's been a while, too, because I wonder, like, myself as an artist, like, I'm known for a lot of things, but when it comes to music, I'm known for one song. There's always people always say, hey, man, 20 joints. I love it. And it's like, man, I put out 50 albums, 50. Mm-hmm. 50 motherfucking albums. Each album probably has anywhere from 10 to 21 songs, but that one stuck with people for whatever reason it did. And I wonder, you guys have been in a lot of films. I looked at all your films. I've seen you guys in films for years, and you've been in pretty epic, big films as well as yourself as well. Like, do you feel like this one stuck harder than anything else you guys have done? And if so, why? Why do you think this impacted so hard?
Well, for me, that is an enduring question. And in fact, it's interesting to hear you say that you've seen the film an untold number of times. One of the things that I, for a long, long time, I really pushed back on doing the meet and greets. In fact, I think the first meet and greet I ever did was with you, Jesse, because you called me up one time in Santa Ana. That you can remember, because I got the phone call and say, come on down. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't do that and stuff. But part of it was I didn't want to do it. And I'll tell you very honestly, one of the reasons I didn't want to do it was because I felt kind of like, I felt like, oh, this thing has happened. And now people see me in a certain context, which I am not from. I had this whole massive imposter syndrome thing going on.
Yeah, for sure, because it's not, obviously you're truly a professional actor, and I've seen you in other films, like in Speed.
Classic.
Right.
In Speed, classic film, totally different role, right? But like, this is the one that people can't unsee you in.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm forever grateful to you for pulling me out and getting me out there to meet the fans, because since I started doing that, first of all, I'm so grateful to the Latino community, specifically the Chicano Latino community, because they got rid of all that imposter shit, like right off the bat.
Yeah, you're fucking Popeye.
Yeah, it was like, sure. So I'm like, and that embrace and that love, because it is kind of love and everything, has been so rewarding, and I'm so happy for it now. And but then it sparked my curiosity, because since I'm meeting the people now, the real people who follow this movie, I started asking them questions, which is the same question I'm asking you. It's like, why? What is it about this film that makes it so engaging, that makes you watch it 1,000 times? I'm like, please explain this to me.
So I think that one, you guys, we related to that film more than a lot of other films out there, right? I think that, like, and I've done a lot of research on the film because I asked myself that question too. Why is this film an obsession to me, right? There's only a few of them like that. It's like, you know, in order, it's probably Blood In, Blood Out. It's probably Goodfellas. It's maybe Casino, maybe A Bronx Tale, right?
Godfather.
Godfather, of course. And there's a couple of them, but Blood In, Blood Out was always the most authentic to me. And once I started doing research, I found out that the reason why it was the most authentic to me is because probably the most authentic film. Because in a sense, like the director had to go tap in with real organizations, right? You can't do films about these kind of topics and get away with it if you're not actually really seeking permission to do it in the right way. So I feel like for that aspect of it, it resonated because they had to put respect on the kind of characters that were in the film, the kind of like groups that were in the film. It felt real. Also, how many films have really been made for Latinos? Think about that.
Especially at that time.
Yeah,
At that time,
in its
right?
day, it was unique.
It's one that came for all of us, and we quote your roles and your lines in that movie probably every day. I call this guy, my girl says, you just like to call him to hear him say, oh yeah. And it's a part of our life in the sense that like, bro, like no one was really doing anything for us, right? And so all my homies from here to Arizona to, you know, you name it, bro, that was our thing. It felt like that was something for us. And it didn't really come around like that much more. You know, I think the problem with Hollywood, from what I've seen, and this is the reason why I actually got into writing movies and directing movies and putting my own money into movies, and we're doing our first one now, is because they just kind of like decided to make what the buyer wanted. And I feel like that was a rare moment where someone wrote something beautiful and something powerful with real meaning, with real politics, with real shit that resonates with humans, that's actually going through real shit in the moment, and it got through and it got put out. But maybe that's the reason why it's on.
Well, there you go. Right?
Because you can't find it for the life of you.
So this is interesting because, you know, on the way in, we passed San Quentin.
Yeah.
And so,
That's right.
you know, for the true Blood and Blood Out fan, they know that when they say San Quentin, we're in San Quentin. And so the biggest revelation and why, we were allowed to film in San Quentin is that the warden read the script.
And loved it.
And said, who wrote this? This guy knows what he's talking about. So the warden in the movie is the warden of San Quentin.
Really?
Daniel Vasquez.
Wow.
Doesn't he do a great job? So he and so it was Jimmy Santiago Baca's words. You know, here's a guy who, you know, from New Mexico who taught himself to read and write in prison. You know, that's where he came into language. And so language allowed him to reveal his pain and his violence and his suffering and all these things. And that's and that's throughout the movie. There are moments where, especially at the end of the film, where, you know, I've always said that if this film was at the right studio, Jesse should have been nominated for an Oscar.
Bro,
for his performance.
Straight up.
Because he's not only the artist, which is Adan, you know, who's this incredible Chicano artist, but he's many times he's the poetry of Jimmy Santiago Baca. And if you ever have an opportunity to see Jimmy live do his poetry, it's phenomenal. And that'll be in this new book that'll be coming out next year. But that to me was the experience for all of us, because we all got thrown in for different reasons. I grew up in a lot of violence in my home, and I took it out to the streets. And so when I walked around San Quentin, and nobody knew my real name in San Quentin. I was Magic all day long because that's the way I protected myself. But I could have been Magic in real life because I was a gang member. The only difference in my era was we didn't have guns. So so I was able to get away from the game because I was a good athlete, and athletics paid my way. And I lived with families throughout high school that gave me a home. And
You were a Miami Dolphin, for God's sake.
I was over the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, you played
I played at
football?
Florida State Seminoles, and then I was the first Cuban American to be given a tryout with the Miami Dolphins, so it was a big deal. But the last family that took me in, here's a Hollywood story. The last family that took me in was a Cuban family. Their last name is Echevarria, which nobody could say in Hollywood. Their son became an actor. His name is Stephen Bauer, who is Manny from Scarface. He's Manolo.
Yeah.
And so he's my brother since we were 16, 17 years old. It's actually his birthday today.
Wow.
And so...
Que pasa, USA?
Remember
that? Remember that?
It's the gangster connector right there.
So there was a way to, for my journey throughout the film, it from an actor standpoint of all the films I've done, I've been, big, Hollywood films, The Mask of Zorro, all these films, Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy, all these. But the full immersion, if an actor tells you what's your favorite film, well, of course, Blood and Blood Out is for me for the specific reason that it was a full immersion. It's like I would do a scene, I'm putting my glasses on, I would do a scene as Magic, and I would turn around, and my real carnales were right behind me, the real guys. And I'd do a scene, and I would just turn around, and they would just look at me and go like this. That's it, just the little head bob, and I go, okay.
So for the people watching, right, like there's an obsessed fan like myself that's watched it a crazy amount of times, even search for a reason on why I've watched it so many times. And then there's just fans across the world. And so you drop something that might have went above their head. You guys not only shot this in San Quentin, but there was only 7 actors is what I read allowed in at a time. Crew and staff, whatever, but actors 7. So that means that all the people in the background are actual prisoners. You guys were actually filming in Quentin.
There's no extras. Those are convicts.
Yep.
Those are convicts.
Yeah.
And
real guards, except for
security.
the one guard that has the role in the film. Everybody else that you see around us, they're real guards. They're real convicts.
And it's not like the prisoners were like behind a cage while you guys acted. You guys were in the mix.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a real fucking prison.
Yes.
And probably one of the most dangerous prisons in the world.
At that time, the most notorious prison in the state of California.
Yeah.
Today, by the way,
100%.
San Quentin is the most rehabilitative prison in the state of California.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, they brought in all these new programs. I don't know if it's because of our film.
Wow.
But when we were there, remember San Quentin was built for 2,500 inmates. When we were there was 5,500 inmates. So everybody was...
And it was fucking active back then.
It was bad. And it was, literally when we would walk, you have to know the makeup trailers were right in the prison yard. And so as you can see, I have absolutely no tattoos on my body. And, Magic's covered in tattoos. So I would go in, get tatted up. In the trailer with us would be Billy Bob Thornton, would be Delroy Lindo. The minute we stepped out of the trailers, we could not talk to each other for the rest of the day because we had to go. The Black Gorilla family to the Aryan Brotherhood.
Oh, shit.
To Ame or Nuestra Familia because they were both kind of in there.
Yeah.
And that was it for the rest of the day. And so we would only see each other back, and they put us in a funky hotel down the street here somewhere, with only like a bar. So that was the only thing we could just go and have a drink afterwards. But everybody you see in the scenes are the real guys.
Yeah.
And stuff went down. There were lockdowns. There were stabbings. There were things where we'd have to hit the ground.
That's what I was going to say. So I want to go down the road. I want to start with you. What's the craziest experience that you had with the inmate? Like, because obviously, bro, they're probably like, fuck, homie, we're in here for life. And motherfuckers are in here filming the fucking film. They got a fucking trailer. They're probably going to eat a little snack. What was the craziest experience you had?
Absolutely. This is the last day of filming. We had to be out that day. So we were in there for about 15, 16 hours. When you go, like on a normal film set, Jesse's got a 5 a.m. call. I have a 10 a.m. call. No, when we went to San Quentin, we all went in together and we all went out together. And if you didn't film till the afternoon, too bad. You had to just sit around all day and wait for your scene. So this is the very last day. I finished my filming. We're in a cell block, with the tears going up. And they put me in I'm done. So I'm off sitting in the director's chair. And I'm just sitting there. And I suddenly feel something hit my head. And I go like this, and it's gooey and whatever, and it's somebody spit on me.
Oh, fuck.
And I look up, and it's the third tier, and it's this guy from the film named Animal, who's a guy who sells cigarettes. There's one scene where he walks by, he's got the big beard, and I look up, and he's laughing, and I lost it. And I go, hey, you motherfucker. And I start going up. I'm going up the steps, and I get intercepted by like 5 guards. And they grab me, and they take my ass outside, and they what the hell are you thinking? And I go, that guy disrespected me. I was locked in. I was Magic. And
you were a fucking fully character.
I'm also a man that you don't fucking spit on.
For sure. Yeah.
But when they put me in a timeout. They put me in an office for
wow.
Until they were done filming, and they brought me out because had I gotten past the guards, I probably would have got killed.
You're fucking active and quit.
Come on. Like the craziest moment for me where I was, by that point, I was Magic. I was no longer myself.
Yeah, because it was, you guys, how long did you guys shoot for?
Well, they were supposed to be, I remember because at that time, when they went to Quentin, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to San Antonio to visit my family and hang out with Adan, who was painting. Adan Hernandez was the artist. He played Gilbert. He played at Gilbert in the movie at the gallery scene. So he was in San Antonio painting the paintings. So I said, let me go get my technique in. I hung out with them and they said for a month. Next thing you know, they call me and they go, we're not done yet. That's why I was able to grow the whole heroin look, because you guys got stuck there an extra longer month.
So you guys were filming in there for about a month.
So they got stuck like Chuck.
Yeah,
they were prisoners.
How could you not be in character? And also, like, when you get around some shit like that, you have to adapt with your climate. You have to just kind of change up, because if you're just too, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and one this is a local story because of where we were filming, because people don't realize that San Quentin is in San Rafael, but it's also Marin County where there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So at the end of the night, sometimes I needed to go out and exercise. So I would go out in a tank top and I would go running. And I'm as you can see, I'm a pretty light-skinned Latino, but I was dark from the film, and I had all the tats on me because they didn't come off. They didn't come off. I was getting profiled. I had cops follow me. There's a big guy running, and they were looking like magic, and they were like actually following me around. And I realized that's what it feels like to get profiled, because I've never been profiled.
That's real profile.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I was only there half the time because Popeye gets paroled.
Yeah.
So I got to go home early. But there's so many stories about the whole San Quentin part. Starting with the fact that we all had to sign an NDA or whatever you call it, stating that we understood that San Quentin maintains a no hostage bargaining policy.
Right.
As in, if you all want to come in here, all you Hollywood guys, and shoot in the thing, you're welcome to. Mm-hmm. But if anything happens, if you get snatched and grabbed and stuff, we don't negotiate, bro. No. So going in,
that's too hard.
We had to sign our lives away, literally. Yeah. If these guys come at us, well, that's life. I could go on about San Quentin forever, but just a couple of highlights. One of the things because you're right. We were in there. All of the background guys are the real deal. They're real. Okay, so there's amusing stories about that, because they took us up on field trips before we ever shot. They took us to show us around and meet the corrections guys and everything, and be tutored about how you act in the prison, and I'll never forget, the corrections guys were telling us things like, whatever you do not talk to the inmates. Don't talk to them. It's like when you're around them, don't, because you said they don't call them cons for nothing. These guys have all day long to be dreaming up schemes and stuff like that. And the first thing they're going to try to do is run some kind of scheme on you. So just don't even talk to them. Okay. It's like, okay, oh, yes, true. Oh, we get advice well taken. Of course, as soon as we got in there, we're surrounded by them. I remember the very first scene was in that dining hall, that scene, where I tutor Miklo and stuff. And there were all these guys in there all screaming and yelling and coming up to you. And literally, you're packed in there next to them because you're in the scene.
You're in their home, yeah.
You're in their home. And they're like, hey, you got a cigarette? What do you got? And you're like, I'm not supposed to talk to you. I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, two stories. First of all, with regards to the cons, this just cracked me up. So we get in there, and the first day of shooting, and the first day of shooting was in that old dining hall with, I think that they had quote unquote auditions and picked about 500 of them, the less murdery ones, to work on the film, But one of the corrections guys explained to us. He says, these guys, they all were signing up to work on the film. And we're like, okay, well, that's interesting because they want to be in Hollywood. He said, no, let me explain something to you about life in the joint. An average convict's day consists of being awakened at 6 a.m., whatever the hell it is, that they wake up, they go to breakfast, and, bathroom and stuff like that. After that, if you don't have a place to be in the prison, meaning one of the most treasured things in the prison was a job. You know, working in the laundry, working in the kitchen, working in the library, whatever. But that's a very limited amount of jobs. If you don't have a place to go and do after the meal, between the meals, you have two choices. You either go back in your cell and get locked up until the next meal, or you go out in the yard, you know, whatever the weather is, whatever it is. And so that's why you see all the guys out there lifting weights and just like that, because it beats the heck out of being locked up, you know, in the thing. So when this opportunity came up, it represented a reason to not be locked up in the cell all day. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll go be in the movie with these Hollywood bitches, whatever. Yeah. So that was like an interesting little bit of information. But now we get to the first day of shooting, and it's the big dining room scene, so they need tons of them. And I remember showing up to the set, and there was this whole line of them. They were all lined up against the prison wall, you know, waiting to be called. And they were all standing there with little brown paper bags, you know, that they were holding. And the paper bags were their lunch provided by the prison, which basically was like a banana or an apple and a bologna sandwich. And there they are with their lunch. Okay, so we're shooting scenes and stuff like that. Then it's lunchtime, it's lunch break, and they all, you know, go off and be with your little paper bag, and they see us lining up at the catering.
That's what I was wondering. That's what
and
I'm
it was like, you know, it's like, oh, more prime rib. Oh, he said we have lobster today, and this, you know, sushi. Yeah, sushi. And these dudes are like chewing on a dry bologna sandwich. You know, that lasted about 2 days. Suddenly, by the third or fourth day, they're on strike. They're not going to work because, again, like the corrections officers had warned us, they're not stupid. They're not dumb. They're cons. And they said,
now you need them.
Yes, because they had figured out, and they did wait for 2 or 3 days, that there is a thing in filmmaking called continuity.
Yeah, you can't have the guys now gone.
Yeah, you can't pick up the dining room scene again, and all of a sudden that whole table is gone, you know? So they had leverage. And they said, we want Hollywood food. Oh, we're not showing up.
Wow.
And this was a whole thing, and the Baba and the trailers and the producers. Remember Stratton, Leopold, and they're making phone calls and shit like that.
I can imagine him pulling his hair out.
And you know what? They got their own food truck.
Yeah. I bet you Taylor was the first one that said, yes, please do it.
Yeah. I remember
smart like that.
Yeah.
Shout out to them, though, because they figured it out. And they helped make a classic film. And honestly, I don't think that anyone could ever do that again. In today's world, I don't think if I walked into San Quentin with the most incredible script ever, they would let me do that today in today's world.
Plus, you know, we just came out of a strike, and one of the big issues in the strike was CGI and AI and stuff like that, because nowadays, technology-wise, you just shoot 5 convicts and generate that whole scene with computers.
Right, but, and also, even in that time period, they would go to an empty prison and then fill it up with extras. You know, guys that maybe were ex-cons, ex-gang members, whatever, and do it that way. We were in a working prison.
Real working prison.
And just one, and this is a really, there was only one moment where it was I really got to see and feel the prison. We were filming on an upper tier, which is right next to death row. So we had access to everywhere in the prison but death row. And while we were up there, suddenly the death row door opens. There's 4 guards, and it's the only time you'll ever see a guard with rifles on the ground, because they can get taken away from. But there's 4 guards, and they're going to lead a death row inmate out to go to the infirmary because he's not feeling well. And in the old days, they would yell "dead man walking," but they yelled "escort." And the minute they yelled "escort" and those doors opened, all the inmates that were around us, literally, and we watched, and then we followed suit. As soon as that inmate started walking, everybody in that upper yard, turned their back on the inmate. They just turned around because they didn't want to look at him because he's dead. He's a dead man.
Damn.
And so we turned around too. But it was, you know, the one and only time that happened. But it was we happened to be in that moment up, and we had to stop filming. And they walked this guy across with the rifles, and everybody turned around.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
We had to stop filming another time because we actually had a killing, like right in the middle of because we were shooting out in the yard. And all of a sudden there was a commotion and everything, and the horn is going off and whatever. And the crowd parts, and there's a body lying on the ground. Somebody got shivved right there, you know. And of course, when that happens, immediately lockdown, whatever. Everybody, and Taylor. I remember Taylor. He's so cute. He's like, "Well, but I'm not sure that I'm going to lose the light." And
motherfucker just passed the light.
Daniel must have been like Taylor.
Yeah.
Really?
You know, because like that probably would have been the perfect opportunity. They're probably like, look, everyone's distracted right now. There's a lot going on. They're probably focused on keeping these gentlemen safe. We could probably make a move on somebody. If someone got hit during the film.
Yeah.
What's your craziest experience in San Quentin?
Well, you didn't go to San Quentin.
Bro, that's
You didn't
what I'm
go.
telling
You didn't go.
I went to San Antonio.
You didn't
So I
come
went
to
to San
hang out?
Antonio. I went to San Antonio, right? And you know where I come from. I come from the barrio. So you know, in our family, there's a lot of incarceration, right? Especially, and this is why I wanted to represent Cruzito. In my family, it's been artists, dude. It's been musicians. It's been artists that have lost their careers to getting caught up.
Yep.
But even worse, what they do to you at the low level. Because incarceration, I mean, if you talk to a lot of what was going on, half the population shouldn't be there to begin with. Right?
At all.
And that's
No,
what
it's
they're
all
praying.
bullshit.
So that whole perception of, they're all here for a reason. Yeah, probably half of them are hardcore. But there's the other half that are not. And they're the ones that are caught up
We're still dealing with
the
that today.
system.
I mean, yeah, I mean-
So that was part of the Miklo story, right? The whole idea of recidivism, right? So in my family, I wanted to represent that, but without the prison experience, right? So when I was over there with Adan and I'm watching him paint these paintings, it's a hilarious story because I think we'd been on the film maybe about 2 months, and he goes, "So what are you gonna do? You gonna paint or not?" And I said, "What?" He goes, "You watch me paint, you study me, you ask me questions, but you have yet to touch any of these paintings." He goes, "Orale, métale brocha, métale brocha, put, get down, James Brown." And I said, "Adan, these are masterpieces. They're for $1 million movie. I'm not a painter, I'm an actor, vato." I go, "Cálmala, I'm gonna ruin it." He goes, "If you make a mistake, we just scrape it off and we start again." So I went, "Wow, I didn't realize that." So as I'm sitting there learning about painting with him, I hear, "Hey, they're going to be there another month. Do you want to come visit?" And I went, "Why do I want to go to a maximum security prison? I know what a prison looks like." And they go, "Well, they're shooting a movie there." And I went, "I've been to a movie set. I know what that is." I go, "I don't think they're having a good time." And when I would hear the horror stories, which are great because to us they're war stories for us. So I remember when we had the junta in 2017 at Plaza de las Culturas, and for the first time they gathered everybody, especially a lot of La Onda, right? So when you guys were sitting on stage and they were asking them questions, and you guys told me that story, but this is where Taylor Hackford is such an incredible leader, all right? So Taylor, the director, right? First thing he does, like you said, cultural authenticity, he hires Jimmy Santiago Baca, a real Chicano poet and writer from Albuquerque, who actually did prison time, knew what it was all about, and he's the one that created the whole Vato Loco story, right? The camarada stuff. But the anchor was, ultimately, the plot was what was happening in prison, right? That was the plot. So it was, when I'm working on the Vatos Loco story and making sure that it's culturally authentic and we have a feel-good, tragic story about all of this that happened to these three guys, these other incredible actors, and the only time I got to see them was at the reading when we first got down. And I knew it. When we had the first reading, I went, "Man, this movie is going to win Academy Awards." So, but I didn't get to go to prison. So I didn't see any of the stuff they did until I actually saw the film. And then in later years, as I've talked to them about the experience as a professional actor, but an artistic Latino, and what they put into those characters. And that's why people love this film. Because remember, that's the plot of Blood In, Blood Out. That whole prison La Onda, growth of La Onda.
And how a crew falls apart. We see it happen every day still. I mean, it's just, if you're really from the shit, if you're from the street, if you have a crew.
That's what resonates.
Bro, it's real. People fall apart. We all know, I mean, especially like being Latino, everyone has a Miklo. You know what I mean? And their family, right? That has an extra to prove, that's not being accepted, right? It's just because the colors, that shit really resonates.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real, right? And so, it was such a good film. And I wonder, like, I mean, what was the budget for this film?
I think it was around 20, I want to say between 20 and 30 mil. I could be wrong. It's been a
Taylor
while.
says 14.
14?
Wow.
I can answer that question in 2 seconds. Go,
Yeah.
keep going.
No,
that's fine.
Modelalo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, do it.
Yeah,
do
but
it.
Taylor, the
Do
director
it.
told me 14.
It'll tell you the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
Which, if you think about it, that's a little budget.
It's a
Nothing
little
for
budget.
But the reality of it was, and you talked about this earlier, but what happened and the reason why the studio backed off of it is because they weren't really part of it. Hollywood Pictures was like its own arm. Jeffrey Katzenberg and Taylor were the ones who were really the instigators of taking Blood In, Blood Out into a multi-million-dollar green light, right? So when we went with it, we're going to make this movie. It's going to break cultural boundaries. They were making American Me at the same time, so Edward James Olmos was pushing the boundaries as well. So we were about to break out as the Latino wave. This was 91 when this was happening. So it was going to win Academy Awards. But I think once the cultural wars happened and the street wars, especially with the authority, with what happened with
Rodney King.
So
The LA riots.
So the riots happened right before we released. And so I think at that point, there was a real big fear of an authentic story from the streets.
Crazy.
So they backed off of it, and then they got into a whole war about getting it out, and that's why it has the name Bound by Honor.
Yeah, they changed it.
that's why it has two
The
names.
only condition that they gave Taylor was like, look, we don't want to put it out theatrically, but we'll let you do it if you change the title. And so that's why it became, but the good thing about that is even though it didn't win awards, what it did is it extended the life of the piece throughout the decade, because it didn't come out as Blood In, Blood Out until 95 or so. It was Bound by Honor from 93 till pay-per-view. That was when pay-per-view was taken.
Basically, the studio orphaned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just said, fuck it.
They had nothing to do with the success of it.
They dropped it like a hot potato.
Right.
It's interesting because you're getting into filmmaking now. But one thing that I've observed in this industry is that there are so many elements that have to align for something to actually be a success. Oh, listen to my stomach.
Hello.
Mira.
And it's still
Are you ready for
and
its
it
close-up?
still might not succeed.
No, I
That's
know.
what happened with this.
I know. I mean, I'm just saying that there are so many different things that can sink a project. I mean, you can have a beautiful gem of a film and the PR campaign is wrong.
Bam.
Or whatever, or something. In fact, Taylor has been through this more than once because several years after, this is an example of what I'm talking about. Several years after Blood In, Blood Out, Taylor directed another film, big studio movie, Hollywood movie, big Hollywood stars. In fact, the stars were Russell Crowe, when he was hot coming off Gladiator and all that stuff, and America's Sweetheart, Meg Ryan. And Taylor did a movie called, I believe the name of the movie was Ransom.
Oh, yeah. Ransom was good.
Yeah, it's a good film. It is a good film. It tanked. Because that was the film where Meg Ryan decided that she was going to have a thing with Russell Crowe and whatever. And como puede ser, qué escándalo. And that's all the press wrote about.
It's usually good for a film.
Yeah, well, it didn't work this time, And also, all of the publicity, all of the thing, all of the press was about that and not about the film. And so it really impacted the movie. Now, in the case of Blood In, Blood Out, who knew the Rodney King thing was going to happen? Who knew it was going to create all these raids from LA was going to burn to the ground and so forth and so on.
That shit was wild.
There's a story that there was a shooting at a Vegas screening, and that's when they backed off of it.
So that's what I was saying.
Come on,
because when it came out, I was a kid, right? I was in high school, I believe, or something like that, either 8th grade or 9th grade. But
did you see it as Bound by Honor in the theater?
I believe that we rented it from Blockbuster.
Okay, so it was already on.
Yeah.
Because remember, it don't come out on video. Back in those days, it wouldn't come out in video till 8 months. If even that, and sometimes it's even longer than
So
that.
did it roll out in theaters at first?
As Bound by Honor.
Okay.
But it made nothing at the box office.
Because they didn't push it like that.
They didn't push Bound by
lasted
Honor.
2
Nobody
weeks
knew
in
of
New
it.
York.
Yeah, people were going like, "Oh, when is Blood and Blood Out coming? When is Blood and Blood Out?" And then some movie called Bound by Honor opened up, and everybody's, "Yeah, but what about Blood and Blood Out?"
So it was a deliberate move, bro.
Why do you guys think that something like America? Because there's a big debate, and I have this debate a lot, especially with my friends that are movie buffs. American Me or Blood and Blood Out, and I pick a Blood and Blood Out all day, right? But why was American Me, and why is American Me still available, right? Like, what do you think it is with that? Because it's kind of, and we'll get into it, because I believe it's a very similar story. I believe that it's based on the same guy. I want to kind of ask what you guys think about this, because
It is based on the same
right,
story.
on Peg Leg, right?
If you look at Floyd Muttruck's, is credited with the first screenplay, right? Jimmy Baca took that and created the Vatos Locos, and authenticated the prison stuff. So Floyd then is also executive producer on American Me. So he
the same
basically
story
was
came
able to
in-
take the route
Yeah.
and make 2 different movies. I think American Me is a good film, dude. It's one of my favorite films of Eddie's because he included all of the Chicano actors that I knew at that time were not working. So I love the fact that there was 2 Latino films being produced. We all got to work. Now, what started the whole this and that? I think that was all just publicity, between the production companies to try to get mine is better or it's competitive. So say you have 2 science fiction movies. Well, hello, the one wants to get to the theater first. So I think that then became the driver for that. But when you look at the 2 films, they're night and day, dude. They're apples and oranges.
They're totally different, and they hit different for different reasons. American Me is good for a certain reason. Blood and Blood Out's good for a certain reason. But we always felt like it's the same. We always felt like it was the same story. As kids, we're like, man, it's so similar. You got like a white guy that's like a Latino white guy, and that ends up being like the shot caller, ends up having like the boss kind of knocked off, right?
Yeah.
Like, and takes power and takes position, right? And it's almost like the same story. It has its own character, its own personality. It was shot totally.
It is basically the same
That's
story.
probably because Floyd is on both.
Yeah.
That's because Floyd is on both.
Yeah,
But Floyd, once that first version came out and Jimmy Santiago took over it, that's when we got it, and that was Chicano Shakespeare, and I think that was probably a process they had to do over there, dude. They had to
What came out first?
American Me, and I think the thing with American Me is that this is my version of it. Taylor is a tremendous perfectionist, so this is when we first started shooting the film and they gave out the screenplay, to us, I remember looking at it and it was like this thick. It was like the phone book. And I'm like, what the hell? This is like, because, an average film screenplay is like 110, say, on average, between 110 and 120. This thing was like 300 pages long. I was like, well, he's not going to really do this. Clearly, they're going to be cuts and stuff like that. So everybody was expecting that. No, Mr. Haffer went ahead and he shot that entire Biblia, And then when he presented his first cut to the studio, it was 4 hours and 45 minutes long.
Yeah. Where's that cut at?
The Holy Grail. Now you're talking about the Holy Grail. So anyway, then that got into a bounce back and forth with the studio because the studio said, no, 2 hours. And Taylor said, minimum 3. 2 hours, 3. So then that started a process that lasted over a year of cutting a 3-hour version and testing it. And then, and then cutting a 2-hour version and testing it, and back and forth and back and forth. And it was very funny because when you try to cut 4 hours and 45 minutes down to 2 hours, you're going to have to lose I
couldn't do it.
Well, no, because you're going to lose a hell of a lot of information.
Yeah.
So what they started to do was bring us all back in again to do ADR, to revoice certain things. Well, we had to revoice a whole lot of it anyway, the stuff that was shot in the prison, because it was too loud and stuff like that. Pretty much that entire first dining hall scene had to be revoiced. Cinderella, yes. Yeah, because the audio, that's because they were superior talented actors working.
Hey, that makes sense, because them lines are hella crispy.
It had to be revoiced. Plus, remember, we had to dub the whole movie into Spanish. Those of us who could did our own Spanish dubbing. Everybody couldn't, but whatever. But anyway, so they're doing a 3-hour version, 2-hour version, 3-hour, 2-hour version. And in order to get all the information necessary for the story to make sense, they started doing crazy stuff, like bringing us in to voice pieces of dialogue. Literally, they hunted and pecked for a scene like, here's the back of his head. So I remember going in to do ADR, and they would go, okay, here's a new line we've written for you. Now, look, we're going to run it down for you. Okay, you see it here? You see where it's the back of your head? That's where you say this.
You guys get a chance to see the 4.5?
No. Holy Grail. You're talking Holy Grail. So anyway, but this process went on back and forth for like pretty much a year. So that a lot of us started calling the movie Year In, Year Out. Because it's like, when does this end? And in that intervening year, American Me finished. They did their post, they did their publicity, they did whatever, and then they opened the movie. And so, it was out, and they got their reviews and everything. Tons of time before the whole Rodney King thing, all of that shit happened. American Me had already opened, it had its run, whatever. We're still waiting on when are we going to release this movie and what is it going to be called, And then that's why, because somewhere in that process, they had figured out, because it was going to be 2 movies. We signed contracts for 2 movies.
Well, that's why Taylor had the long version, right?
I know. And that
he was trying to convey. He told me, I said, hey, there's a rumor that there's a 5-hour version. Can you once and for all tell me what that's all about?
Yeah.
He goes, I showed it to Disney. He goes, I was trying to convince them I had enough for 2.
Well,
I had it already.
Yeah.
He said, I have it.
No, but there weren't 2 scripts.
He was going to
No. There was literally a whole other script, because I remember having a talk with Jimmy Baca, because he told me, you know what, in part 2 is where I'm really going to go deep into your relationship with Miklo.
But they hadn't written any of that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, because when you watch,
look, I've already shot 2 movies. That's what he was trying to do.
But have you ever asked yourself?
He didn't say I got to do another one. He was like, look, I got it. Let me finish it. At that point, they went, bro, we're not going to let you put out 1.
Yeah,
he went, what?
They'd already given up on it.
We're sending it to VHS.
Yeah.
And he went, I'm Taylor. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
I'm a Academy Award winning Taylor Hacker. And they went, and so that's when he got them to basically say, look, if you can change the title, because we ain't putting Blood and Blood in, Blood Out on it anymore. So you better
fucking sabotage.
And that's when they started having to tool it all down.
Yeah, but
that's not the original ending.
The other.
No, I know that, because I was getting to that, because you shot that last scene a year later. Yeah. You had no hair because you were doing Wojciech in New York. I remember that. They flew you in.
Yeah, I had that.
And you had no hair.
The original ending. So because they wanted to do a 2-parter, the original ending was so open-ended. The original ending was me with the other 2 vatos, Chewy and Frankie. Same scene. Look at this mural. They didn't mark it up. We're from East Los. We're chased by hounds, but none of the emotional content. No closure. So the biggest comment at the previews were, so what's up? Is there another one? What happened to Miklo? Da-da-da-da-da. And so I think all of that was just, it's not going to be 2 movies. It's not going to be 2 movies. So I can't imagine that year of Taylor.
God willing.
Trying to chop it down.
There will be. I mean,
he could deconstruct it, right?
Well, listen, just speaking as Popeye, who I wasn't done acting. But I mean, when you think about the character of Popeye, the last time you see him is when he makes that phone call.
Oh yeah, you like
and he does that, and he hangs up the phone and he walks off the screen ¿Y qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó con Popeye?
No closure.
So, all right,
Yeah, because there was gonna be more Popeye.
here's my thoughts. So the reason why I really wanted you guys to come here today is because the sign that sits above us, cookies, is the gift that keeps giving. And you know, I have visions and manifestations that one day this will bring liquidity to me. I'm building a company. I don't make any money off cannabis currently because we put it all into our business. We hyper growth. So I know that hopefully one day there'll be some kind of like liquidity, right? And so as I get myself into film, as I get myself into, you know, writing scripts and fucking with scripts and understanding the business and understanding that the lack of authentic good films because the Hollywood buyers are not really existent anymore, right? And I just feel like, man, like, what would be the possibility of connecting on doing a part 2 and doing a totally different part 2? And I'm talking about involving everyone from the top to the bottom and bringing the finances to the table and having, because I thought all the same, as a fan, I thought all the same things you thought. What happens to Miko? Is he become fucking, what happens to his journey as like the boss, right? What happens to you? You're on the streets. You made that call. Do you end up getting killed, or do you end up, what happens? Because it could be any kind of which way. So, you know, my goal in life is to bring some kind of liquidity into my, you know, my little bank account and start seeing through projects that I'm passionate about. And so if the writers are still around and passionate, what's up with part 1? Can we grab part 1 back from the studio? Can we actually properly put it out on real streaming services so people don't have to go find ancient DVDs, right? Can we come out with a part 2 where it's like, this is later in life. It's addressing now stories, and because I feel like it's possible, right? I feel like that even if he shot a bunch of stuff that's still around, it wouldn't be relevant to put it out right now. It'd be relevant to put it out now. You guys are still here. You guys are still good at what you guys do. I've seen you recently, and I've seen both of you recently working with the team I'm working on with movies right now anyways, right?
Yeah.
And so all we'd have to do when we're putting this in the universe is get the writer on deck, hopefully he smokes bud, hopefully God willing he smokes bud and he's a fan of cookies, and we sit down with him.
Who, Jimmy? Okay.
Yeah.
Jimmy smoke?
You might have to sit in mitote and do peyote.
I would smoke DMT with Jimmy if it means that we can sit down and actually talk about doing a part 2 of right now, right? Now it's fucking 2023. Right. All these years have passed. Prison politics are still a thing.
So I can answer part of that question without giving up any information because I've had the conversation with Jimmy, and so he does have a part 2, and we are all much older. That's all I'll say. So there is it's out there. It's a matter of you know,
financing.
Will you get Taylor? I don't know. I don't think so, but who knows? But
I think
you know, there's a second. He's told me versions.
I think this is something that could come out and kill the box offices the way that NWA did, because NWA came out and the fucking culture came out for that thing, and it was a good movie. It was cool. But I know that our people are deep.
Shout out to my homie Bruce Beatty who played Ice Cube's dad.
Man, listen,
that's my homie Bruce.
That movie shocked the movie industry because they were like, damn, it hit box offices like that. I don't know that if Blood In Blood Out Part 2 came out with the same players.
Well, probably if you promoted it right.
Well, of course. And
I think the issues are always going to be the same, dude. The issue is that the people that own the trademark to it, the copyright to it, that own the rights to it, don't care about it, don't want it, don't even admit that they made it, right? So you got to convince them of that. However, Taylor and Jimmy, and that's one of the reasons that we're coming out with this Blood In, Blood Out book, Legacy, right?
You need to come to that.
So this Blood In, Blood Out book,
they'll both be there.
So Hat and Beard Publishing Press is coming out with this Blood In, Blood Out book, and it's Taylor Hackford and Jimmy Santiago Baca, journals from his directors' journals. Jimmy Santiago is going to write original poetry for the book, the writer, executive producer, but it's going to have 300 original photos of Merrick Morton, who was our photographer, right? Who's a well-known street photographer. He takes pictures of a lot of flicas, but he also is a well-known. He shot what was it? Taylor's other film. La Bamba, Colors. He
All
shot a
the
lot
ones,
of
yeah.
shot a lot of that set photography. So the pictures you see, that's Merrick Morton. But Blood In, Blood Out, all the photos you see of us as in character, that's Merrick Morton. So it's going to have 300 original front and behind the scenes photos of the movie. It's going to have all of Adan Hernandez's art, Cruzito's art in it, all in one book. And then, like I said, original writing. So it's a beautiful table book. It's going to be available. Hat and Beard Publishing is the publishers.
You think Disney would sell that film, the first film, and the rights to it?
I have no idea.
I don't think that's how companies do it, dude. I mean, right now they're making a lot of moves, but I don't know if that's one of the moves they make. I mean, I like the way you think, and that's one of the reasons I'm a fan of your brand, because I've seen you and I've followed you as you've grown this brand. And what I like is that, one, you're authentic to who you are, number one, right? As raza and as the field you're in. But two, I've seen your business moves, right? And it's always about coming up, right? Can we bring each other up?
Can we do it together?
Yeah.
I look at Cookies like a platform, dog. Like we've helped launch so many other brands, so many other breeders. We've always been about, the actual people creating the genetics. We've helped launch a lot of products, and we've always been there as a platform. You go in the cookie store, Melrose, the old location, we're opening up a new one soon. It'd be all the other brands, maybe 25% Cookies, the rest of the other brands.
International, right? Hot. You got an international store too?
We're everywhere, yeah, all around the world. But I take pride in people coming into my store because it's cookie stores and discovering other brands. Mm-hmm. I think that's cool because I could just have it all cookies and kill it, right? But I knew that by supporting other brands, and you're kind of you have a different position at the table. You know what I'm saying? People look at you like, man, this is our guy, opposed to, man, this guy's fucking shit up type shit. And
now as you go into content creation, like when these guys you're partnering with, Four Ways Entertainment, Victor did a movie with them, right? What was it?
Slipping into Darkness.
Slipping into Darkness.
The Latino Film Festival, which then they got them an HBO contract, and right as they were about to launch them, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So it was just, unfortunate timing, but.
And then I did a piece with them called Addicted to You.
Yeah.
David and Alex, director and writer.
Incredible too.
Yeah, incredible, but they're Four Ways Entertainment. So now what you're doing by collaborating with them, I was looking at a script that you guys were working on together. So I see that you're wanting to expand into cultural narrative, right? And that's what Blood In, Blood Out represents. It's the success of the cultural narrative.
It's a cult classic too. It's the film that matters. It's a film that matters so much that I think about most people that work this hard on something like Cookies, if they got liquidity, they think about buying a house in Maui, or maybe going to fucking Dominican Republic and buying a crib, or maybe getting some kind of crazy watch. Or I'm thinking about bringing part 2 to life, right? Because that's the kind of shit I'm passionate about.
And dream.
My goal in the space is partner with Four Ways. We got our first film called Splash City. It's about San Francisco and the smash and grab culture. They call it bipping, how they pop a window every 30 seconds out here. Don't leave nothing in your car. And then the second film is going to be called Flathead. It's like an urban slasher. I'm going to film it at my lake house in Montana. And it's going to be just a good horror film. Then we're going to do a film called Slide about credit card scamming. A crew out of Richmond, right across the bridge. The 3 girls put people onto the game of making fake credit cards and the credit card chip scam processes and all that shit. And so that's going to be tight. And then the fourth one I was going to do is called Murder Mountain, about Humboldt County and the trimmers going missing and some of the things that go on up there in Humboldt, right? And all these films are easy for me to use with no permits, cash budgets, just I'm going to kind of get by in order to flip these films to do something like I want to do with you guys, right? And so whether Cookies brings liquidity or I go film and flip 4 films to be able to go to Disney, but all right, guys, you guys are sitting on one of the best movies.
Papa, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are sitting on one of the best movies ever made, 1. And 2, I don't think you guys are really concerned about what this movie does. And 3, I'm already kind of doing business I'm developing a show with a company owned by Disney. So I'm developing a show with FX right now. And when I got on that Zoom call, I saw Disney. And so...
they screened it on FX the other night.
Which one?
Blood In, Blood Out.
They did?
They did?
No.
But, yes, you didn't know that?
No.
It was on FX December, a couple of weeks ago. Okay.
Ooh, that's a big move.
Check this out. I'm watching it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching it. And it was on YouTube TV. My brother has YouTube.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But it was FX. So I'm watching it and I go, Taylor. So I'm watching, I'm going, wait, there's something wrong. And then sure enough, it was like, this ain't the freaking barrio ese. You got your freaking filero in your pocket. Hey, freaking baboso. And I went, what? Freaking? And I called Taylor and I go, Taylor, we don't say freaking in the barrio, dude. He goes, yeah. He goes, pinche FX, the only way they would show it is if we gave them the sanitized version. I said, damn, but it's streamed, dude, on FX. So the numbers are there, bro. The discussion's happening.
It's happening, and
it's just about leveraging it and coming at them the right way.
If I deliver what I'm supposed to deliver, which is a successful show with FX, right? Yeah. And I can't talk about what it's about, who's involved.
No.
If I deliver it, right, I'm already in the room with them, right? And they're owned by Disney. And I'm gonna have a little chips in my hand. And if we're already doing business, I got some bread and the business makes sense, then for the whole culture, I'm gonna try to make the move. And that's why I really wanted to sit down with you guys, because look, life is short. And certain stories need to be finished and they need to be told, because there's people, and I think there's more people out there like me than you guys probably have had a chance to meet by the meet and greets and, Instagram. Everybody loves this film. It's a cultural cult classic. And
everybody wants a part 2, bro. Trust me.
No, we need a part 2.
For 30 years, I've heard.
I want to just add to that, because the thing that always surprises, like I think about 10 years ago was the first time I saw somebody send me a tattoo of magic on their body.
Yeah.
But the fact that, yes, this within the culture itself is a big movie. This is a big movie internationally, because I have people doing my lines in Persian that I've seen in German, and there were these Persian guys in Germany that like wrote me, and they said, bro, he goes, we love Blood and Blood, we love magic. We watch this film maybe 2-3 times a day, and I'm going, that's like 9 hours, 10 hours, get a life.
I know. I have that reaction too.
There's some Japanese lowrider culture.
Oh, they love that shit.
It's all over the world. So you have the incredible base already. Plus this film speaks to truth, and that's why it has this following all around the world. I feel
like as a crew of some of the most talented actors we've seen in our time, right? And as one of the best storytellers that I've seen in our time, right? You guys deserve the kind of rollout that you guys deserve, right? That you guys didn't have a chance to have because your shit got botched, right? Because of whatever reason with what was going on in the world.
The biz. Yeah. Just call it the biz, man.
But it's the biz, but it's also like fear of fear of us being in power. I feel like sometimes too. I feel like that all the shit that was going on with blacks and browns at the time, they're like, oh no, we can't put this out right now.
Okay, you know how we're celebrating the 30th anniversary. Did you read the article in the LA Times that they put out in April?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you ever get a chance, read that article by that guy. What was his name? Jorge. Can't remember his name. Incredible writer, right? But a Mexicano. Right? So he grew up with it. And again, what a lot of people don't realize, because I was at the Mexico press junket, they did a major release in Latin America and Mexico as Sangre por Sangre, the version he talks about. So even though Bound Blood in, Blood Out got stymied as Bound by Honor and rolled out over 5 years, in Mexico and Latin America, Sangre por Sangre hit from 93 on. So in Latin America, it's so well known, but as Sangre por Sangre, right? So the fact that we've had that kind of a Latino base that then is filtering over the next 20 years back into the States, and then rewatching the movie in a new generational language as Blood in, Blood Out, which by that time it was already Blood in, Blood Out. Then when DVD came out, man, that's when it blew out, because he put out the director's cut. And the director's cut had the fatter version, but it also had extra scenes in it, remember?
So you don't really think the Holy Grail sitting in someone's desk that can't just be pulled out because of politics and business? You don't think
I think what Taylor said is that this new generation of executives at these studios don't know these old films unless they won Academy Awards. So the fact that we were kind of, what do they call that? when it doesn't make it a
turkey.
flop. Well, it wasn't a turkey
Flop.
because it got controversial reviews.
Yeah.
But it critically it got a lot of the right people loved it, dude, including the fans. The fans did not
Well,
like
you
it.
fucking the fucking warden of the prison let you guys shoot a fucking full movie in San Quentin.
Yeah.
I mean, that
How
says
did
a
they pull that
lot,
off?
dude.
Yeah,
I don't
bro,
know how.
that's chips.
And also, all the real powerful Latino leaders that I meet in this space, in entertainment space, all talk about even having a moment like this with you guys, let alone the idea of a part 2, right? So, what other movies that came out in the 90s that people would die to see a part 2 of? I mean, no disrespect, I don't even know if I really want to see a Boys in the Hood part 2. I'm just being 1,000.
Yeah.
If someone right now. And I think it's because the way that the story is kind of left. There's so many things that you're interested in, like what happened with this, what could happen with this. But if someone said right now, Boys in the Hood Part 2 is coming out, I'd be like, and? Right? But if someone said Blood In, Blood Out Part 2 was coming, I think it would hit. And
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Jesse did a movie with Ben a few years after. Have you ever seen, what is it?
La Mission?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that, right? Yeah, because part of what enthralled me about that film was like, oh, the two guys are back together again, but they're older now. This is where life is taken, And I love that film, by the way.
We actually I used that relationship to sell the film, right? Because of the subject matter. They were afraid that the Latino audience was going to watch it, especially the low-riding audience. I went, no, they're going to watch it if they see me and Ben being the Vatos Locos. And so I sold it almost when we were doing the indie press in my hometown in San Antonio. I stood out in front of the theater and said, hey, you want to see Blood In, Blood Out too? Go see La Mission. Nobody came out disappointed. Because they understood what we were doing. Oh, okay, this ain't Blood In, Blood Out 2. These are my favorite actors doing another part where they're home. And that was kind of what we do as artists. What we do now, by celebrating it, and we all went through that. Man, when Blood In, Blood Out was tanked as bound, because I told Taylor, man, if this movie comes out as Bound by Honor, I've been on the press, I've been with you since Gate. Taylor, I didn't audition. Taylor knew me from the auditions of La Bamba, right? That's where I met
you auditioned for La Bamba?
Yeah, we all did. Most of us have auditioned for pretty much all the same projects throughout the years. So when I auditioned for La Bamba, I had met Luis Valdez and I met Taylor. So Taylor came back to me and said, look, you're not going to do La Bamba, but I got this other movie and you're going to help me cast the Vatos Locos, right? And so I always tell Ben, I told Taylor, I go, look, Taylor, the Vatos Locos have to be as authentic as possible. So when these actors come in, I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at them. I'm going to throw slang at them. I'm going to throw calor. I'm going to do everything. He goes, do it. And a lot of actors got roasted in that audition, right? When Ben walked in, because Ben is from the Mission District and he grew up with a lot of those vatos, they grew up, him and his brother Peter, who wrote La Misión, they grew up with the first Bay Area car clubs. So they know all these vatos. They were like their heroes. So he could knock them off. So when he walked in and he started throwing down, I said, okay, Ben's the one. So after that, it took us a while longer to find Damien because they were trying to get a star in that position. So they were bringing in a lot of actors, white actors that had names, but none of them could.
They couldn't hit it.
They couldn't hang, bro.
How did Miklo hit it, dog?
bro.
He just had this.
Well, his dad he really is half Chicano. His dad's from Robstown. From Robstown, Texas.
Shit, Miklo is a real one, for real.
Miklo's a real deal.
He's the real. Yeah, he's the real.
Yeah, so when Damien came in, we threw him around and Chapa came through. So at that point, Taylor went, look, I'm going to go with an unknown, and that was a journey. His growth as an actor was on that film, but I think that's why you get the performance from all of us that you get. I think everybody at that point, I can tell you one thing, nobody in that cast, and you're talking about how big a cast it is, like you said, they were all before they were going to be stars. Raymond Cruz, Carlos, Victor, Benjamin, before Law and Order.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Fucking insane.
So they were throwing down, bro. They said, we love this movie. We're going to do our best. So that's why that movie sings. Yeah. I can't imagine the footage that was left on the floor, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, where's the Holy Grail at?
But see, getting back to your, how do I see the 5 hour minute? People ask me constantly, is there going to be a part 2? Is there going to be a part 2? And I always go, look, I've given up on the part 2 thing. My stance on the whole thing is that I wish they could gather up all of that footage of the original shoot, and reconstruct it, put that thing back together again, because I'm convinced there could be 6 hours of there. So you put all that together, chop it in two, and then you put it on HBO or whatever. Or chop it into 3 pieces, because, for ejemplo, we were talking about her earlier. Roxanne Biggs. Fabulous actress.
Roxanne
her entire role was cut out of the movie.
You ever watch on the DVD in the back, there's this beautiful woman in an embrace with Paco? With Benjamin Brand. It's right there in the back of the DVD.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
She's never
Here's the thing. There's a whole love story. You know, there had to be, because in a Hollywood movie you got to have the love story.
And that's what they decided to cut out.
And it was Ben and Roxanne. You know, they met because her dad was the DA or something.
Yeah, he was a police chief.
And she was a strong Latina woman.
Well, she was organizing.
She was a lawyer or something.
Yeah,
she was a whole other plot.
It's a beautiful Chicana.
So gigantic story, and it's on the cutting room floor.
All right, if this footage still exists, right? Would it be the director, or would it be the studio like
Both.
Disney that has it?
The studio has it.
So somewhere Disney has a vault of old footage somewhere, and that it's up to us as to go figure out how to go find it. Pretty much.
Get all that footage. And rent an editing suite, and come get Taylor, put Taylor in there and say, dude,
right here,
put it all together.
Put it all together.
They did that with Godfather, right? So what they did with Godfather is they deconstructed all the flashbacks and they put it chronologically. So I said, well, why can't you do that with... It'd be easier.
I would love to see Roxanne get her props after all these years.
Because here's the thing we know about studios, right?
Come on.
Studios are like, bro, if they still got old vocals for artists that are deceased, and you don't think that a company like Disney has this put away somewhere, they just don't work. They just probably don't care about it because of what happened back then. So my point being is they didn't get rid of it. It's sitting somewhere.
Has to be.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
100%. It's their job because they own it to be sitting somewhere. Now,
the issues are always still going to be the cultural politics of the time. So going back to that LA Times article and what you were saying, because of his unique perspective as a Latino journalist who grew up with Blood and Blood Out, not where it came from, he did all his research. And in that article, in the LA Times article, it tells you about the cultural war that was perpetrated on Blood In, Blood Out because of what was happening in the street, because it was way ahead of the Latino wave. You're talking about the early 90s, Papa. We hadn't even gotten to DVD yet. You know what I mean? After that is when they came out with American Family, Selena in the later part of the 90s. But at that point, we were coming out of the late 80s, and that's where the project had come from. Blood In, Blood Out had come out of the 80s, you know? So then all of a sudden you have 2 films, and one has controversy with American Me, and then the other one has controversy because of da-da-da. And so at that point, they said, well, that's it. Let's call it a loss. $14 million ain't nothing for them to write off as a $1 billion company. And they've made $1 billion ever since, dude. More than $1 billion, I believe, after 30 years. So that's a pretty good business move. So you see, it's all business.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, if you were to approach the owners or whatever, the people that have it in the vault, and lay it out as a business thing to them, business proposition.
That's exactly what I'm about to do.
Yeah, because and Taylor even said this, I think in that same LA Times article, there's a quote from Taylor where he says the studio left money on the table. Yeah. You know, because there is money out there. You got all these rabid fans and stuff, you know. I mean, so
merchandise that Disney didn't trademark. So you've got, you know, there's the T-shirts, there's the mugs, there's the paintings,
the tattoos.
So right now, people are just doing Blood In, Blood Out merch and just you guys.
And it's all. What do you call it?
But if it don't have the VL, sorry, it ain't official.
So here's what we're gonna do first, right? Because I stand on business. I stand on business. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna do a Cookies Blood In, Blood Out collab, right? And I'm gonna do an agreement with you. And the rest of you guys pick the cast members that are still aligned and still together, and we'll do a revenue split with y'all, right? So we'll run it up. I'll put that shit in Zoomies, all doors. Probably make it, you know, nice little 750, maybe an M total. Maybe we split $500,000, something like that. But we'll do that first, right? Let's show boys we're serious, right? Because Cookies Times Blood In Blood Out collab with the support of you guys, right? The main cast would go big, because I think the rest of the world understands that if there's no trademark and fools just running wild with it and you guys ain't touching bread off it, they'd support the shit out of that. That'd be the first step that I'd like to do with you guys, right?
Yeah, the only issue is that when I talk about this a lot when I'm doing my own signings, I go, you got to realize that the trademark is shared between a lot of different parties, so it isn't just
Disney.
You know, Jimmy Baca has the rights to the characters. Taylor has the rights to the film along with the major studios. But anything they all want to do, including what we do with that brand, has to be sanctioned by the big boys. Otherwise, you're in the gray area. So the better thing would be to step to the left, to do knockoffs, to do, you know what I mean? Damien Chapa with his Amadeus Pictures has been doing
or
knockoffs of the Miklo character for years, and he's got a whole
or you just
body
do the
of
burner
content,
move. You just do the burner move. You put it out and make them sue you, so you have to sit down and talk business.
Hey, all right.
I'm saying though,
Okay.
motherfucker, sue me so we can sit down and talk this business. 'Cause
Yeah.
now, all right, you see
I'm
what
Chicano. You can't find me to sue me. You can't send me papers. I won't answer the door.
Now they'll see the kind of revenue made off this hype, right? And then they want to maybe sit down at the table and figure out how we can settle, but also we could do some real business around what's still sitting in their vault.
Nah, I say what you do, bro, is you take the originality, because I've read Splash City, right? And again, I respect you as a businessman and as an artist, right? What you've been able to do with Cookies as an artist. For us, it's the same thing. We're artists. And that's something that he talked about is after, and getting back to that imposter syndrome moment, after the film was done, I was over them, bro. I was like, okay, that's your movie. I ain't getting nothing out of this. You killed it for me. It's going to live there forever, right? It came back to us, right? Because the love that we put in it came back to us as our art. But in the business of it, and this is why we were just on strike, in the business of it, we don't own a piece of that. So Cruzito does not belong to me. Popeye does not belong to him, other than who we are, and that's our faces, right? Like Taylor says, he goes, look, realistically, your image is yours. But in the business sense, it belongs in that particular brand. You see what I'm saying? That's their brand. What you have to do is you have to, as artists, step to the left. Step to the left, create something that's rooted in that. Now you create something that's brand new and they can't touch. Not even with paper. But it's based on the same inspirations. It's based on the same
characters, same vibe, same storyline,
same. You know what I'm saying? So.
But I would go back and look at the original contracts that we all signed, because even back then, there are things, there's language about subsidiary rights, for the actors.
Fair use, for sure, yeah.
The whole residual thing, is based on earnings of the film and stuff like that. That was one of the big issues in the strike just now, is how do you compute residuals? But back then, we're talking about a contract from 30 years ago, and so I think it would behoove us, the actors, to investigate that. What did we sign?
What did we sign?
And what is the language in there?
You know what though?
Stimulated this,
I'm also super optimistic that, like, bro, I'll get in that room. I'll get in that room with them, figure it out, because at the end of the day, bro, like, that's just sitting there, right?
What do they have to lose?
They have zero to lose, and I'm already doing business with them on something else.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna put it in the universe. The fact that you guys would still even be interested in something, if I could wiggle it out of there, is dope. And I feel like there's room for both. I feel like there's room for everything that hasn't come out yet, and also room for something brand new with these characters. Because I would love to see what OG Popeye is doing right now. I would love to see what OG Magic's doing right now. Cruzito is doing right now. What's up with Miklo? Is he about to get out? Did he wiggle his way out? There's ways that, like, that shit would hit so hard, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Blood.
There was a short form back in the day. I think it was Katzenberg's company, right? It didn't survive, but it was like a mini Vine.
You mean Hollywood Pictures?
No. Jeffrey Katzenberg. It was a little
No.
It wasn't a TikTok, but it was like that. It was kind of like a social media storytelling thing. But it was
Yeah.
Katzenberg's company, dude. He raised like billions of dollars for it. Well, this thing was pretty cool because it was original content created by celebrities. So a lot of celebrities had, man, I can't remember what the name of it was. Do you remember? It was going to be like a new TikTok, but it was strictly for celebrities. And it was original memes.
Oh, I was hearing about that
What was
when
it
I was
called?
shooting my movie.
The company didn't
When
survive.
was that? Was that?
I know what you're talking
Because
about.
they tried to
because
compete with subscription. So
I know
that
what you're
didn't
talking
work.
about. When I was shooting that indie film, I just acted.
Yeah, it was
Someone
kind
talking
of like
about-
Vine or Snapchat,
Yeah.
something like that. So I had the idea. I was going to say, man, wouldn't it be great if, because it's mini form, right? Don't steal this idea, but I'm going to say,
No, I don't
this
steal.
is all
Yeah.
creative stuff. But I thought, what if I created something called 10 by 10 or 40 by 40, right? Let's say 10 by 10. Take 10 of the characters, right? They all have different stories. It's Popeye, it's Cruzito, it's da-da-da-da-da. Find 10 characters, or even 5 characters, right? But 10 would make more multiples. Then each of those 10 stories, and Jimmy was going to have to figure this out, intersect at some point.
Okay.
So we all wind up in each other's little story for a second. But
Yes.
it's really our story.
Yeah.
Then I was going to say, you write yours, and I'll write mine. And he'll write his, and then we'll collaborate with it. But the only way to really get it is you got to watch all 10
Right.
to get the 100 episode because it's all intersecting.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah,
see?
yeah.
And this way we would use the mini narrative form, that's the hottest thing right now, dude.
Sure, yeah.
That's kicking the butt of everything, bro. Of all the streaming, of all everything, it's short form. It's the Vines, it's the TikToks, the Snapchats, it's all the mini narrative forms.
Yeah, people's attention span is
So
fucked right now.
that's where we got to concentrate. That's where we can go, okay, the next thing that I would say is to try to figure out a way to figure out how to get some of the blood in, blood out stuff into the NFT world. That's where they want to do it. So if we tell them, hey, man, we'll do this and we'll do this, that's where I think we can have that discussion. Then you have the broader, bigger one, right? Which is, hey, we want to develop the part 2, we want to develop the series, or whatever that is. Now, to tell you the truth, Papa, you're a little late because Jimmy Baca has already been working on something like that. But it's in development like everything else. So
He's
that
on
doesn't
the-
mean that there's not room for...
Yeah, or maybe even like he's open to just sitting down talking about being a part
Excellent.
of it financially or
There
something
you
like
go.
that. You
That's
know,
what I'm
marketing,
talking
rolling,
about.
branding,
That's what I'm talking about.
all that shit.
Because right now it is independent of the studio because the studio is not even admitting that they made
Well,
this
maybe-
film,
maybe after
much
the-
less develop any idea.
Maybe
in that
maybe after
direction.
this sit down, we can get in a group text with him and see if there's any interest in what we do, right? Because marketing, branding, and rolling out is that's my strong suit.
Well,
right?
here you just opened a store in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And I said, Jimmy Santiago Baca's in Burque.
Yeah.
He has these, so if you ever get a chance, check out a documentary called A Place to Stand.
What streaming
It's
service on?
A Place to Stand is Jimmy Santiago Baca's story of how he learned how to write in the state pen. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
It's literally him just telling the story with some B-roll of
Is
the
it
prison.
like
and all
what's
that.
on like on Netflix, Amazon?
It was on something.
Well,
man. But look
I
up
don't
A
know.
Place to Stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they were streaming it independently for a while because they were selling the DVD. But I'm pretty sure they have it on a platform now. But, you know, I always told him when I saw that documentary, I said, Jimmy, that's part 2 right there. Órale, baboso. The story of somebody learning how to, you know, write or, you know, somebody learning how to paint or whatever in the state pen, dude. I mean, in the Fed, actually going through the Hale, but trying to come out with some artistic stuff. But, you know, Jimmy for years has always been doing these workshops where he takes people that have done time and prisoners that are coming out and actually getting them into a writing program. Dude.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah. So he's committed to actually healing the wounded spirit and having something artistic come out of it. So when you're talking about the original poetry that he's going to put in this book, he actually read me one about El Pino. And I swear he was just spinning it right in on the telephone. Because I was like, did you really write this, or are you just coming up with something off the top? But it was incredible.
I heard
man.
that trees became like a landmark for like not just like our culture, but everyone. We're talking about
they were actually going. There was a development that they wanted to knock it down. Because it was
Now you know that wasn't really true, right?
No, there was
it was a negative spin on the developer, because I know the developer, but he had actually bought it because he grew up going to middle school right around the corner from it. So when he saw that it was available, he bought it. Well, because he was a Tom Bradley supporter back in the day, and he made some enemies. So they started coming at him because, look at that, and they used that, right? So he came to me several years ago and he goes, hey, I bought this tree and I want to fix it up. I go, but people are jumping on me and I actually want to protect it. Will you help me? And at first I had to suss him out and go, but they're saying that, and he goes, that's not true. This is what's going on. It's neighborhood publicity wars, right? Good. And I said, well, one, you have to guarantee. And he goes, no, I actually am creating a foundation. So he's got a foundation called the El Pino Foundation.
Oh, that's sick. Dude.
And he actually wanted to hire Adan to put the mural, a knockoff of the mural, on one of the buildings that he's going to build there. But one of the best things he did is he had the university, one of the university of, I think it was UCLA, they have a big arbory program. Right. And he had them come out there, and he had the doctors come out, check on the health of the tree, what type it was. What Chicano? Yeah, what it was gonna? Yeah, Chicano. Yeah, so it was badass. It's a Chicano tree, definitely. Yeah, Chicano pine. But they were saying it's one of the only of type of that pine in that area. That the rest of the pines in that area, that's why it's so tall. Right.
But people actually fly in.
No, they do.
From other parts of the world
to see it,
to go and look at the tree.
Yeah. I'm about to go look at the tree. David's about to take me over there. I want to go to LA next time.
But right now, you see, because they haven't started the fix up, they have it protected.
Oh shit!
So that way nobody can get close. But you can still get close enough to take a picture with it. But it's surrounded right now by a chain link to protect it.
I was watching TV recently, and I saw something, and I went, "Damn, this movie really has achieved a higher level." Because what you're saying is true. When this movie was made, there was not a lot of Latino content out there. The culture wasn't really being shown, et cetera, et cetera. So now we're fast forward, and in a way, part of the respect that we get is that people call us OGs, say, like, you guys were laying the foundation. You made what is happening for us younger actors possible, by pioneering. I was sitting there watching a television show that was just on recently, Gentified. Oh, yeah. You know that series, a TV series? Are you familiar with it?
No.
Yeah, well, it's a show, the name of the show is Gentified. And the basic setup of it is that it's a family in East LA, and it's several generations, el abuelo y de qué sé yo, and they're running a little restaurant, a little local taqueria, whatever. And then here comes the new generation kid, and he went to culinary school, and he wants to do this, and he wants to change the menu and all kinds of stuff like that. And he's getting pushback from abuelo and stuff like that. No, porque the tradition and the this and that and the other. And there's a scene where they're knocking heads, and abuelo goes into the thing about, mijo, you have to understand that this is our culture, this is our traditions. People have come to rely on us to keep the tradition going and everything. And the kid goes, okay, Dad, I know. I saw Blood In, Blood Out. Yes. And the movie, but just that moment, I'm like, oh my God, it's become a cultural reference now.
It's the best.
Like a touchstone.
The memes are crazy.
I know, but
when you seen the one with the tamale going around for Thanksgiving.
But isn't that something when other artistic endeavors are referencing this one, and that it just came out of nowhere. I said, Dad, I've seen Blood In, Blood Out.
Let me ask you this, man. Blood In, Blood Out is probably one of the most quotable movies in the whole world, bro. There's so many lines that we all say to each other. As Magic, what's your favorite line? What's your most? What
So
do
one the
people?
fans always throw back at me, and it's like, and again, it's the opening that's the very first scene in the prison that we shot was the scene he was talking about, and when they brought in all these inmates, and they're following him through, and by the time they get to my table is when I turn around and I say, so is a sucker that does a spider? Well, if what you're looking for, killer, then I'm the man you want, and then it's the boogeyman thing. And so I'm Magic, but I also tell people, I tell people, the character's full name is Magic Mike. And I say, and my guy doesn't dance. Magic Mike, the stripper guy.
Magic don't dance.
I never knew it was Magic Mike. All right, Popeye, I know for sure, give me some Chon Chon went platinum, but there's probably like 100 of them for you in that movie.
Yeah.
What's one of
I
your
was
favorite lines?
blessed. I got a whole bunch of good lines, but I always give the credit to Jimmy, man, when it comes up because it's Jimmy. It's Jimmy.
Chicano Shakespeare.
Yeah,
bro.
I always make it a point to say, hey, man, I mean, it's like it came out of my mouth, but it was written by Jimmy, man. I don't know. I have so many cool ones,
Pick your best. I want to see what your favorite one is. I know Give Me Some Chon Chon resonated with everybody because it's classic, but I have other favorite lines. So I'm
Tell him to suck his pee-pee.
Yes. That's honestly. I swear
How can you talk about?
Did you see him go right into character? He had to do the Popeye cara and everything. He had to do the Popeye cara and everything.
The PV line is
You're not in the pica anymore. Hola, fría.
Hola, oye, vato, calma.
Tell him to suck his PV.
I was on that before you were. It's one of my favorite, bro.
Okay.
But
What's your
couple
favorite
of years
person?
later, bro? A couple of years later, I went to the theater, carnal, there in LA, and I saw Kelsey Grammer. What's his name? Kelsey Grammer. What was he famous in?
Frasier.
Frasier. I saw Frasier as Richard II, and
I was in that.
I saw ese vato as the lead rebellious lord against him, bro. And I was like, okay, now that's Popeye right there. He's got his own clica, and he's spouting Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's why that movie, like I tell you, resonates because of the vatos that were throwing down. And you got to understand, they were the best of the best, and we were in our prime, bro. The artist, Adán Hernández, years after, when people were forgetting about him, I said, hey, let's start to put out the art and let people know that you're the artist, not me. So we would do this great tandem thing, right? Hey, I'm the Cruzito, and this is the real Cruzito, who also was Gilbert in the movie. So it was kind of like a total reintroduction to him, right? So he was getting flabbergasted because now he was a celebrity, and there were these lines for us, right? And so he would say to me, every once in a while, he'd look at me and he'd go, did you ever think this movie was going to be this famous? And, we're talking about 10, 15 years ago, right? And I told him, I said, of course, vato. I go, I know what I did. What did you do? All of that to say, I saw when he was painting, he was serious. He wanted to do the best of the best of the best. And so I know that every single one of these actors, when they tell their stories, but also how I've gotten to know them during the job, man, that was like 2 years of our life that we spent together. But then afterwards, the camaradas that we created, and the camaraderie that's kept us through, now coming back. One of the things I realize is that we put our Academy Award winning performances. So what you see up there is, like you said, about 20 or 30 potential Academy nominations.
That's why
including the production, director, including the writer.
Everything. Story.
The DP, Gabriel Beristain, who went on, Mexicano, who went on to shoot some incredible
My
flicks.
very next movie was with Hollywood Pictures, the same studio. That's when I went off to do Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. Gabriel was our DP.
He was our DP.
I worked with him twice in a row, which is unheard of in our business, but he was the DP for...
Bro, beautiful pictures. When you look at other Latino films and how they like to play with sepia and they like to make us look dirty and they make us... That's an American perspective. His perspective was uniquely Taylor's and Jimmy's, which was, this is a very real, beautiful tragedy. And so it has to look beautiful. That opening montage, man, it still gets me, because a lot of those places and a lot of those murals, I was just there the other day, a lot of those murals are still up. And when you talk about they didn't mark up Cruzito's carnalismo, man, a lot of those murals from the opening montage are still there untouched.
Yeah, because out of respect.
Those dancers are still dancing.
Those dancers are still dancing.
Because when we did the thing at Plaza de la Raza, they did a big ceremony,
Yeah.
and the guy was now like 80. He was dancing. He was like the lead dancer in the opening sequence.
What was your favorite line as Cruzito in the movie?
Well, it's gotta be because we're from Islos. We come out chased by hounds wearing a pinche rabbit's foot for luck. And then I always like to repeat when I get raza around me, families and stuff, I go, we've got something better than a rabbit's foot for luck. We've got familia. And then I added raza way, because I wanted to specifically talk to an audience that American cinema had never spoken specifically to. And I tell young people when they want to be inspired, I go, hey, what did I end that movie with? I go, I ended it with a slang, and a slang that was specific to what your cultura is, what your calor is, what your soul is. So I'm talking directly to you, not to those Hollywood executives that are going to make billions from this story, but specifically to you who are going to be inspired by this story. And I like to tell that because I was very meticulous about my ad-libs, and I told Jimmy, I said, look, Taylor gave me permission to ad-lib, because he said, you're the real Chicano, so I need you to authenticate. I said, okay, I'm going to do Vato Loco tutorials. So we stayed in a neighborhood, we stayed in City Terrace there with the Gary Loma boys. They took care of us, but they were a very, very active clica at that time. So there was a lot of pedo going on, but they protected us, right? So while we were there with the familia that was there, right, the Familia Vasquez, they took care of us. They would allow us to hang out. So what I would do with the two vatos, with Benjamin and Damien, is I said, look, let's sit down, pull out your scripts. Okay, let's get some calor together. This is what they say in the East Los Barrio. This is what they say. Let's say this. That way we are all on the same page. 1970s, let's put some period on it. Now let's work our scenes so that we're at least, we know we grew up together, right? So we were doing that type of a tutorial thing, but at the same time, you were seeing the conecta to what was really happening in the neighborhood.
That's so rare, because I don't really think that people kind of put that energy into films like that anymore. It's so cookie cutter now. Like, you get a script, you read for it, you go do it. And maybe I'm lost, but I've been around films, I've been around sets, and like I've seen people, work out before they do a scene. But you guys are talking about actually living and working
in it.
Yeah, you guys are living in it. You guys are acting inside of a fucking jail full of active fucking lifers, right? Like, this is fucking crazy. You had to sign a fucking contract saying, hey, if a motherfucking kidnaps me, tries to hold me for hostage, you're not going to bargain shit. You're done, right?
We're not trading the warden for you.
Yeah.
That was a big one. Yeah.
Crazy as fucking. I think that's why when you asked the question earlier, why is this film so classic, is because you guys put all the energy into that. It's very rare that people put that kind of passion into something like that.
Well, and the good thing about it is, people ask me a lot of times, what's your favorite memory? And as much as I enjoy all the filming and all that, I think it was living in the East Los Barrio. Because at a certain point, after we finished the first, so the film was done in phases. So we did the young people first, then we did the prison stuff, then we came back and we did the whole back half, right? So the first phase, we were young and innocent, right? Well, after that phase was over, the actors took off. Damien was going to do all his prison stuff, so he moved back to, he moved to Beverly Hills, back to his hotel. And Benjamin, was living with his girlfriend in Santa Monica. So after living with us vatos for 2-3 months, it was like, I'm out of here. So he went in because the work was very difficult. So they knew that they were going to have to throw down. And technically we were all separated, right, at that point. Well, I said, well, wait a minute. Why do I have to go stay at a hotel? They said, what do you mean? I said, well, Cruzito never leaves the barrio. I said, this family's taking care of me. I go, let me stay here in the neighborhood. I'll sleep in the back with one of where their sons live, right? I'll stay in the groove. At the same time, I can be on the set and I won't be late, because it's like an hour from Beverly Hills to East LA when there's traffic. I said, I'll never be late. They love that one. I'll never be late, but at the same time, I can stay in the groove, right? Well, what I didn't realize is on my days off, I'm watching this beautiful East LA barrio and all the vida, the familias. On Sunday, the viejitos going to church with the little kids, the kids going to school and coming. I'm not seeing what everyone was seeing, which is this gang-infested war zone and all of this. I was like, okay, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing this. How can I put this into that? And I think as artists, when you have that opportunity to do that, that's what's going to come out. Something that 30 years later is still going to be like it's
still
fresh,
relevant.
still
Still
fresh. Yeah.
As professional actors, that's what you guys are. What's a film that each of you wish that someone that's obsessed with your character from this film would check out, right? Like, obviously, like I said, look, people always come to me, Troy Joints, that's my shit. Yeah, it's a freestyle song I did in a moment that I was really feeling it. But there's 50 albums worth of work I wish that people would really focus on. Starting with you, what's a film that you've done that you wish that someone was really into you as a character from Blood and Blood Out would go check out and see your talent on a different level?
Oh God, that's a good question because
there's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. As one of the things that I do really well that most people don't know because they what they see is somebody who might hurt you is I do comedy really well. And so there's a couple of films, and one actually it's another Latino film that it was. I think we shot it for like $500,000. It was so Distinguished Gentleman is one with Eddie Murphy because I'm throwing down with Eddie, and everything we do is ad lib. There's we're not following the script at all. But there's a film that Paul Rodriguez did called A Million to Juan.
Oh yeah, I love A Million to Juan.
And I have this. It's a hilarious character. Yeah. I own a produce. I sell produce, but it's called Hector Delgado's Drive-By Produce. and it's got some really funny lines and funny scenes. And we literally would show up like at a restaurant, and they would go, "Oh yeah, we love you guys." And we go, "Can we shoot a scene in here?" And like 8 hours later, they're sitting there waiting for us to leave. So it was complete guerrilla filmmaking. But I will have fans at like a Blood and Blood Out meet and greet that will come up with a picture of Hector Delgado, and it just always floors me because Latinos know they're actors, and they'll follow you to a Million to One that didn't get a theatrical release or anything. It's just a funny film that by a.
But you're right. The Latino audience loves that film.
No, they pay attention. They pay attention.
Yeah. So I love the fact that comedy is it was always a blessing for me. Comedy got even as a young kid, it got me out of my darkness. But it's not something that you would look at me and go
expect from me.
But I do comedy
because I'm the kind of movie buff that sees an actor. I'll be watching a movie, but I want to go check out Boom Boom Boom, and I'll think of all the movies they've been in. Right, like it just that's how I am. So I wanted people that are watching this to be like, okay, well, if they didn't know that you were, obviously they probably knew that, but if they didn't know you were in other films, what should they go really check out? Mm-hmm. For you, Carlos, what's one of your favorite?
Yeah,
that's some pretty fucking good ones too.
Well, I have to piggyback on what Victor said as well, because I love comedy. And I seem to have an ability to do comedy.
You're good, dude. Popeye was fucking.
Well, I think one part of the reason Popeye is so popular as a character is because he's actually funny.
Scary.
Yeah, but it's like and that's fun when you juxtapose the scary with like the oddball kind of behavior and stuff. I mean, but I really enjoy doing comedy a lot. I'll throw out two things. And there's a bittersweetness that comes along with being in this industry, because there's so much that you are grateful for, and but there's there's a lot of the one that got away kind of thing, One role that I wish people could see me in, would have been the original script that I auditioned for and was cast in of Speed. Because I was very excited when I got that part, because Well, what I'm leading up to is that what came out in the theaters and what people saw in the theater was not the original script. No, not at all.
Shit.
Not at all. And I was really thrilled when I was cast in that film originally because it was the diametrically opposed character from Popeye. The character in Speed was a hero. He was a clean-cut working man. He was aspirational. He was a role model. I mean, it was just like, and I'm like, oh, great, that's terrific. After a whole career of always being the thug and, you know, and mugging the old lady and stuff, I get to be a real authentic thing. And unfortunately, because Hollywood is Hollywood, we were a week into production, and we got the news that there's a new rewrite. Oh, it's so exciting. You're going to love it. You're going to love the new script. Oh, and we all came back and the new scripts, and then we all sat there. Let's read through our fun new script. And everybody kept, the entire cast was like,
because it was all action notes, huh?
They shaved, the original script was an ensemble piece. It truly was an ensemble piece. I often refer to an old Alfred Hitchcock movie called Lifeboat, you know, which is a great classic. And Lifeboat is a situation where a group of people are trapped. Actually, what the situation in the movie is that it's during World War II, and the ocean liner they were on got torpedoed by a German U-boat, and these are all the survivors that all end up on the same lifeboat. There's about 10 people crammed into this lifeboat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and like, oh fuck, what do we do now?
That makes more sense.
So it's the same premise, you know. So you got this group of people that are trapped into an ungodly situation, trying to figure out what to do. The original script for Speed was that. It was a group of people, it was an ensemble piece. All these people trapped in the bus, and they all had backstories and whatever, and so, you know. And when the famous rewrite came down, all of that has been
all shaved off?
It was all shaved away, and we were all kind of like, why are we're extras now? We're just supposed to scream and yell all the time while Muffy and Buffy up in front save the bus and the world and everything. And it's like, I mean, I'm glad that I was in the movie. It was a terrific movie. It's a classic.
You wanted to show your shit. You wanted to show your talent.
I was excited because I'm like, I'm finally getting a part in a Hollywood movie where I can really do my thing, show my chops, whatever. Gone. So that's one. Then there's another one, but that wasn't comedy. Then I did another film that nobody ever heard of called Double Take. You know, and this was a comedy, straight out comedy film. But it's another one of these examples of how you can have all of these great ingredients and then something goes wrong and boom, paltanque. and when I was so excited when I got that, because it was written, I don't know if you've ever heard of a movie called, Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin.
Midnight Run.
Midnight Run.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great film?
Great film.
Same writer. Same studio, whatever. In a way, kind of the same plot, because the two stars, it was called Double Take because it's like, it's two guys and they get confused for, you know, one is an imposter. And so it's all about the mix up and everybody, whatever. And then there's, just like Midnight Run, there's cops and trains and planes and all kinds of stuff. And I got cast as way over the top Mexican colonel, whatever, because at one point the guy gets arrested, they bring him before me, and it was like, it was basically just one scene. But when I read it, so you know how sometimes you read something and you go, I got it. I got this, you know. And it was way big, way over the top, absurd. And I remember the day I went in there and I said, you know what, I'm going to go for it. Because I always get, one of the notes that I always used to get early on as an actor was like, hey, that was great, man. Now, can we do it again? You know, have you ever bring it down? Bring it down. Well, this thing on paper was so big, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it like that, you know. And I went in there, and I just did the ridiculousest thing and everything like that. And George Gallo, you know, he was directing it, the writer of Midnight Run, and I do the audition and everything like that, and I finish, and I look, and George Gallo's sitting there like this. Literally his jaw hanging down, and I'm like, okay, I guess I didn't get this. And he's like, no. Anyway, I got the part. I went in, and I remember even on the day of shooting, I'm like, dude, tell me if it's too big. Tell me, whatever. And it's like, I had so much fun. And he was like, no, more. I just did this completely over the top, ridiculous character.
It's got to be on a platform. So.
Oh, it's around. And then I remember when I went to the cast and crew screening, the producer came up to me and said, this is literally what he said. He said, I am one lucky Jew because you're in my movie. I'm like, okay.
Is it out there right now? We can watch it or no?
It's someplace. It's someplace. But the movie tanked. The movie, it just like...
Yeah, but one thing I've learned through the whole Blood In, Blood Out experience, the Bound by Honor Blood In, Blood Out experience, is that the business will not and cannot destroy artistic excellence. So even if it's lost somewhere in the archives because of YouTube, but more than anything because of the fans, which are our raza, they have kept things like that afloat. So right here, the fact that we said double take, bro, there's like 20 searches right now. No, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Because Carlos Carrasco, who played my favorite character, Popeye, said that they're looking for it right now.
Is there one scene in the middle of the movie? But I had fun doing that
that's
scene.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think you've got Popeye's continuing story. He goes to South and becomes a Mexican general.
The story of Popeye could be crazy. I mean, we can take that 100 ways. Jesse, what about you, brother? What's another film that you wish that people that are fans of Cruzito would go check out?
Okay, we talked about La Misión, right? Yeah. So Peter Bratt actually made a film before that, which was inspired by Blood In, Blood Out. So Benjamin's brother, Peter Bratt, had just graduated NYU Film School when he saw Blood In, Blood Out. Totally blown away. So he wrote a story about 4 artists of color. Me, Benjamin plays my primo, Abel, and then 2 other artists of color, a Native American and an African American, and we're traveling in a van to the White House to paint a mural of our ancestors on the White House. It's a road picture. It was a big hit in 1995 at the Sundance Film Festival, but it was so brown because Peter wrote, everything all about race identity in the United States and everything that's happening with us from all different perspectives, right? So it was pretty controversial. And
what was the name?
It was called Follow Me Home. You never saw it. Follow Me Home.
No.
Because it was ahead of its time, and again, it had a lot of the Blood In, Blood Out cast in it. Noah Verduzco, who played Juanito, he plays our nephew in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had just done Mi Vida Loca with Salma Hayek. So Salma jumped in and did a cameo in there with us. Yeah. Alfre Woodard is one of the leads in it with us. We pick her up along the way, and she's grieving her daughter, so she's carrying ashes. So there's all this woman, feminine aspect to it. So it was a beautiful film. Peter Bratt made it. It was like 15 years before he made it.
Is it available on services?
Well, right now, they streamed it in 2020 to help get the vote out, right? Because it dealt with, and it's interesting because they were able, actually, it was so prophetic. They were able to put some of the January 6th footage onto the back end of it.
Wow.
And it was right on time. Because what happens, we don't actually ever get to the White House. What happens is we get waylaid in the middle of the country by some, now I can call them Trumpsters, but back then they were these Civil War reenactors. And so they went after us when they saw this brown van of people crossing their state. And there was this whole pedo with guns and shootings and everything else. But it's a pretty heavy story. Follow Me Home, it's called. So what they've done is they were able to keep the rights to their movies. So now talk about self-determination. They own the rights to Follow Me Home. So they got the print and the rights to digitize it. They own La Misión outright. Hollywood don't own none of it. And so now they're going to create some sort of an independent platform that they can put out their own films. And then he also did Dolores too. Dolores is the documentary about Dolores Huerta. That's Peter Brad as well.
Wow.
So he's got a good body of work, but the fact that they own their own flicks. But Follow Me Home is something that I think everybody should see because it's really got some great themes, but it's also well acted.
Yeah, we'd love to check it out.
I know that title. I've read about it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah. If you go to followmehomethemovie.com, you can watch the trailer.
Oh, really?
The trailer's pretty heavy, yeah. But again, the digital world and the ability for us to retain our own stories and put them out. And now, how do you monetize that, right? How do you make the business out of what we've created, you know? One of the things I'm trying to do is, like you, I'm trying to go to each of us and go, hey, is there a project that we can do together under my company? Is there, I know he's been pitching his book, you know, and one of the things I said to him, I said, look, any way I can help, and anytime we talk with each other, it's not just that we're actors. I go, no, he's a writer, producer, and he's got this story you need to look at. Because now it's about optioning intellectual property. So under my company, Tolteca Media, I've got several books that are Latino-based, that are from independent authors that I've got option to develop into ideas. So the business part of it is now taking advantage of everything we've done, you know, and we got films and legacy that are, now every year I got something turning 30 years. This year it was Blood In, Blood Out. Next year it's Mi Vida Loca.
Huge film too, yeah.
So, you know, anytime people, I did 3 films back to back. So if you want to see my true prime of what I was trying to do, I did Blood In, Blood Out, Mi Vida Loca, and I Like It Like That. You ever seen I Like It Like That?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was me trying to show my range. But of course, again, because of the cultural wars, all of those films got stymied, all of those films got pigeonholed, and they all came out at various times, so nobody could make the connection, right?
Crazy.
So it was difficult to build a brand when I was trying to do that on that kind of stuff. But what I am grateful for is that, like all of us and most of the people in that film, everyone in that film has gone on to do star work and has done legacy work. I went to a Comic-Con with Valente Rodriguez, Frankie, and Raymond Cruz, Chewy. But both of them on their own have gone on and done, you know, Ernie from George Lopez Show, Raymond with Training Day and Breaking Bad. So they've got like stuff that's, I was laughing because Raymond Cruz had a whole table, right? And he had 1, 2 Blood In, Blood Out pictures, and he had all these other and I went, hey, what are you doing? None of these are turning 30 years. He started laughing. He goes, I know, right? I go, what are you doing, Chewy? Charlie Holmes, get all this other crap over here, dude. We're gonna take away your placazo. But that's how we are, dude. We're like buddies. We get together and we see each other and it's like no time has passed. But that's the respect that we felt for each other then, the respect and the camaraderie and the carnalismo that we built during the production. And then years later, watching all of that, man, I just saw this. They just premiered it at the New York Latino Film Festival. You didn't know that?
No.
They showed it at the New York Latino Film Festival. And
wait, I did know that. Yeah,
it was literally a midnight screening because it's so long, right? So it started at 9, which meant it wasn't going to end till 1 in the morning, and it was packed.
For sure it was.
Packed in New York at the New York Latino Film Festival with all of these young Latinx filmmakers, and it was still resonating with people. And I said, you know what? I'm going to sit here and watch it. And I sat in that theater and I watched it. And I watched it for 3.5 hours and I didn't even bat an eye. And I sat there and I realized after it was over, oh, that's why that movie, people still love it.
Well, that's
the real deal, Holyfield.
That leads to my last question, right? And so I called my best friend because I feel like a lot of people when we were growing up felt like we all had our Vatos Locos kind of vibe, right? Like every crew felt like they could resonate with that, right? And so I called my guys that grew up with that. I would consider like if I had my own little world like that, right? This is my crew I kind of came up with. I called my best friend Berner for a long time. I said, bro, you know, I'm about to sit down with, right? And I told him, he's like, oh shit. And I told you guys, like, this is comparable to me hearing unheard pop vocals, which is, I mean, bro, it's the highest compliment to like, you know, my world, right? And so I said, Barry, what would you ask him if you could, bro? And he said, let me think about that, dog. And I'm like, all right, he's really taking this question serious. And he texted me this morning and said, bro, I would ask them if they knew at the time shooting this film, they would know how much this would impact people like us, right? How much it would really impact us, how much we'd really resonate with this shit. I'm like, damn, and you just pretty much said that. And that's why. And so I guess my question is, did you guys, when you guys were filming it, right? You guys knew it was a great story. You guys knew it was an incredible film. You guys had to deal with it being kind of, shelved and kind of shitted on by the studio because of what was going on in the world at the time. Did you guys know that all these years later, how much it would impact a whole generation of people like myself? Like, this is our shit. Like, when I'm having a bad day, or when I really need to bring my mind back to reality, I pop that film on. Like, did you guys know what it would do something like that for the world?
I didn't. Straight up, honest to God, my story was that when I got asked to go in and read for that film, I was newly arrived in LA. I don't think I'd lived in LA more than about a year or maybe two when that audition came up. I was a New Yorker. I was coming after almost 14 years of living in New York. I'm being surrounded by the Latino culture in New York,
Dominican,
but it was Puerto Rican, Dominican,
yeah.
and stuff like that. That was the sensibility that I brought. I think the first few years I was here, I still talk like this, like a New Yorker, you know what I'm saying? So then it was an audition for a job. And I went in and I did, the best I could. Next thing I know, I'm in this project. To me, it was like I got hired. And then I thought, and I got hired in a really superior production, surrounded by great talent, great people, great writing, and okay, here we go. I'll do my best with it, but I had no idea. No.
You'd be able to put that underwear and be the best gift ever, like. What I mean? Like that's the crazy thing, because I can't wait to put those on for my girl.
Oh my God!
Bro, think about that. A job you took.
He signs them, dude.
A job you took impacted a lot of people's lives. A lot. Even my father, he loves your cat. He told me I love. He's like, suave, Al. I'm like, damn, what feels like, he's so excited about this conversation. So, did you? But
see, that was New York because that was improv. And I was like, I have to say something here, and then what came out was Puerto Rican, suave, because we say that in Panama, cógelo suave.
But see, that's the beauty of the actors, bro.
Yeah, they can put their own soul into it.
Every single one of them, did things like that, and we're able to just bring what's real and artistic, right? Because that's an art, baby. That's the talent.
Yeah.
So the talent part of it is, okay, I got the job. But the talent and the artistic part of it is to be able to take a character, not only just make it real and authentic for you, but make it real and authentic for this world that may be alien to you.
Yeah, you might not even understand it.
Bro, you didn't even come across as you had just been in LA.
Same with this shit though, with cookies. Same with cookies. There's people with cookies tattooed on their fucking face, their forehead. I signed babies, all kind of crazy shit. I'm like, to me, I'm like, I know what I've done, but I don't really know why it resonates with people. So I'm kind of in the same spot sometimes. Like, I did my thing. I built a brand. I kept it. It's authentic. It's real. I built it from the ground up and motivated people to know that they can do the same thing. But I don't know why it resonates so hard with people. I just know it does, and I embrace it. But I didn't know it would when I started it at all. This was a way to feed the kids back in the days. You know what I'm saying? So for you played a pretty powerful role. Your role had a very strong message, and you ended the movie with very powerful words. Did you know that it was going to impact like this at the time?
I was the opposite. I did.
Yeah.
I was actually, and I tell this story, and I laugh. I was in Billy Bob Thornton's first movie. Of course, that probably wasn't his first film. But
it felt like it, though.
No, dude. And Billy, when he comes to town, the Texas area, he still calls me. So, again, the camaraderie that was created between people that wound up becoming like megastars. But the reality of it is I was the most famous actor on that set. I had been a television star for 3 years. I was lucky enough in the 80s to jump on a show that was famous worldwide, Fame. And I came on the show with Janet Jackson being my castmate. So right away, I was in a whole different world because fame was so huge. So I had to learn how to deal with an audience that was already ready-made. So in those 3 years, which was also film school, right? Because they were shooting on 35. So I would go to the set and learn everything about what is this film. I was a theater actor. So I said, okay, so after 3 years, you figure it out. Especially on fame, you become a rock star pretty quickly. So I already knew, okay, I got a brand, I got the talent. Now what am I going to do with it?
And I have a following. Yeah.
So in the 3rd year, and again, the other thing that helped me out is every time the television season would end, I'd go do theater. So theater is where, as an actor, you get humbled. Because if you can't stand on the stage and hold people's attention, how do you expect to do it like this?
It's like rapping.
That's
like
the cheater,
over
baby.
your lyrics.
Thank
like
you.
Rapping over your lyrics, opposed to doing a real
Thank
show,
you.
like having to memorize everything.
What's the dealio?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come on. So I think in that sense, theater was keeping me real and honest, right? So when I would come back the next year, okay, now back to my following. What can I do? Well, first of all, put it in the work, right? Put it in the art, put it in the character. But other than that, now what can you do with that brand, right? So I was starting to realize what I could do. So that's why when Taylor came back to me and said, don't worry about that, we got this, blood in, blood out, I already knew, and Taylor was a Fame fan. So he was, okay, you're going to help me do this. Like Jimmy, I need Jimmy, the writer, and I need you. Between you two, we can get it going and and I said, all right, but this is what I need. I need complete autonomy. I don't need you micromanaging me. Are you okay with that? And then I told Jimmy, I said, Jimmy, I am going to riff, but I'm going to riff off what you're writing. I'm never going to mess with the sanctity of what you're writing, the structure of what you're writing, the information. But I am going to riff. And he was like, go for it. So when we started collaborating like that and I knew I had freedom, then I was in the zone with them and I could really help them out, right? At that point, the production gets going. And I say, okay, next thing is for my character is the art. Because I couldn't help them with the prison scene. That was all Taylor and Jimmy, right? So they were heading in that direction. But I'm telling you, once we had that first cast reading, I knew. I said, whoa, that's that half of the movie? This is going to kill. This is going to win some Academy Award. So on my end now, let Cruzito be the spiritual leader of this story, right? Because I already know what Miklo's character is going to be. And he's covered. He's covered because he's surrounded by these incredible actors. Benjamin, he's linked to that story. So I know that whatever's happening over here, Benjamin can tap into the Paco story with what's happening there. So I always knew that was the root. So it was actually easy for me
Just kind of see.
to do my character. Yeah, I could see, oh my God, I just got to be Cruzito. And then I said, well, wait a minute. What about the artist, Holmes? I go, you can't have someone knocking off Chicano art and say, it's a vato from your pueblo. Taylor told me, he goes, Adan Hernandez. And I knew the art scene in San Antonio. So I said, wow, he's one of these vatos. And sure enough, once I saw his work, and the reason they chose him is because he had evolved the style. His style was kind of the way Cruzito was painting during the Heroin series, what I call the Heroin series.
Yeah.
So that art was kind of the dark way he was painting.
When
right?
you ripped the face out and everything, yeah.
But his earlier style had been the photorealism of the early years.
Yeah.
So they said, well, Adan can do that. So once I saw that, I said, well, my character's covered because I got the visual, Adan. I got my character because it's easy. I just got to be me and be authentic. And I know this story. This really happened many times in my family. La droga, overdoses, the pedo, trying to stay out of it, losing your art to the pedo, right? And the vida loca. So all of that it was pretty easy for me, right? But ultimately, once I started getting into the production part of it, because that was another thing I did. Man, I was in it. I was always at the production office. I was always checking in. What are you doing there? I knew I couldn't affect prison too much, but I wanted to make sure that I was there in case anything went down. Especially because after the first part of the movie, Damien went on to only be with Taylor, and that was a very, very difficult relationship because they were both trying to raise each other to the next level, right? So at that point, I think Damien was realizing that he was the lead in the film. So we had to make sure that all of his arcs fit, right?
Kind of like play. Yeah, that must have been a fucking nightmare.
Dude,
trying
as
to
a
shave that
first
4 hour,
time, I can
45
tell you, as a
minute
first time actor, I would not want to be dealing with that.
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes his performance so memorable.
That was his first film?
I think that was his first big
yeah,
film,
yeah,
man.
pretty-
He might have
pretty
done a
much,
short before that. So that's what was beautiful about it, right? So I could only help him with the first part. So because of that, I was always visiting the production department, right? Well, once I saw it going, and we're about a year and a half into it, and I think you guys were getting ready to go to San Quentin. So I'd seen a lot of the rehearsals and I said, oh, this thing is going to be huge. So when the film was over, I don't know if you guys knew this, but I was one of the heavies in the press junket. And I kept going to Taylor. Once we got into the press junket, I went to Taylor and I said, you need to have a meeting with your PR people because I don't know what's going on, but our audiences are not correct. If we want to make this a popular film, a commercial film, we're not showing it to the right audiences. We're showing it to people, the juvie halls, and we're showing it to the cultural groups. I go, that's not our audience right now. The audience is going to get there. I go, but right now this studio is going to expect this movie to break box office records. Not really realizing that they had already gone sour in it, and that's why that was happening. Taylor and Catherine, our PR lady, they were trying to keep it afloat. And we were getting mixed reviews. Half the time it was an incredible film. Half the time it was like, oh my God, it's too heavy. They weren't ready for it. It was too real. And I think that's what ultimately happened. When he screened it for the Disney execs, the Hollywood Picture Disney execs, they probably looked at each other after it was over and went, can't put this movie out. Yeah,
they were tripping.
It was too authentic. And I think that's then when the battle started to try to keep it afloat, which is that year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, when it came out, it was so past our prime inflection point. Then the riots had happened. American Me had already come out
American
the
Me
year
had
before.
happened. Yeah.
So at that point, Bound by Honor, what's that? So I think they passed it by without really realizing. But it's interesting that Disney changed the name back to Blood In, Blood Out.
Because
For the video. When it went to video.
Hello,
Yeah.
they know.
I remember reading a review.
Business as usual, baby.
Yeah, I remember reading a review when the video came out, and it might have been Roger Ebert that said something about, it's this movie that is almost as long, because when they first put it out, when they changed the title back, it was still Blood In, Blood Out, Bound by Honor. And the critics said this movie is almost as long as the title.
Yeah, and you put them back to back.
Yeah, but you know
ridiculous.
what? Honestly, you couldn't tell a story in less than fucking 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Like that,
Dude, it took Taylor 5 hours. Come on.
We're gonna find the Holy Grail. And for you, did you think, bro? You played a very important role because at the end, a lot of people, bro, like.
That scene still brings tears to my eyes.
You're called, like, bro, when you broke that fucking soap bar, right, and it came together for the viewers, like, damn, that motherfucker was behind him getting killed, right? Like, that shit opens up eyes to like how the world really works, right? Like, did you know that role was that powerful? Let alone
so what you don't, and I'm not going to say what character I was offered, but I was offered a completely different role for Blood and Blood Out 1 and 2. And then I got a call from my agents the next day, and they said Taylor Hackford and Jimmy Baca want to meet with you. And so that guy go in to meet with them, and they basically want to talk to me about magic, because magic in the original script is just a member of Onda. And he's like over here, and maybe I say something over there. And they said, we want you to play this. This is going to be a very important role. We promise you. And so I had to take a leap of faith and let the other role go, because a role that was played out more in the scripted Magic. Magic was like this big.
The original.
Yeah. And then they said, and then we're going to, Jimmy's going to work with you to, like, he wanted to talk to me about the Aztecs. And so you see it on my body. I had to do my own research, because of course I'm Latino. I'm born in another country, but I'm Cuban. I'm not Chicano. So I had to find magic. I had to find, the essence of the character. So it was really a leap of faith. And the script itself, yes, I knew that it was an important, it was something, it was beautifully written. did I know that 30 years later that it would be this iconic film where the characters, each of the individual characters within the film are iconic to individual people around the world. That there are lots of people that say, my dad was magic. He spent 25 years in prison, blah, 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 So it was my job to embody that, but it was not in the original script. So it was again, this, it was this joining of all the, of Taylor, of Jimmy, of, what I could bring to the character. And so it was a leap of faith, and I'm glad I took it.
Yeah, because the first time I seen the movie, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't really understand the soap situation, right? When you put it in the sink and broke it apart. But then when I watched it again, as it's probably maybe a couple weeks later, we sat down and watched it again. I was like, wait a minute.
So we had to. So just so you know, we had to reshoot that because when they tested it with audiences, that was a reaction. A lot of people didn't understand the soap. So so now that you know this, and the fans that will watch this, they can go back and relook at the film. So when we reshot the soap part of the soap scene, they had to bring me back from Distinguished Gentleman because I was working on Distinguished Gentleman. And in Distinguished Gentleman, I have no mustache. I'm clean shaven, and I put weight on for Magic, to make him big. So I was 20 pounds lighter. So if you look at the soap scene again, there'll be the original scene, and then you'll see this giant black thing on my mouth. So look for the fake for the.
Okay, I'm gonna look at.
Bro, that's how good your acting is in that scene.
Yeah.
We're not.
So now that you know that, look for the mustache.
Yeah, I'm about to watch it tonight for sure. Because
we had to reshoot it so that it would make more sense because a lot of people it went over their head like what's the soap, and then realizing that it's the mold of the kite that went that got Montana killed. So I'm Judas. I found a different Jesus to follow.
It's crazy because you called him Hefe. You're like, oh shit, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's a very powerful character, man. Speaking of soap, last thing I knew we were supposed to end this. I got a pregnant girl. I got to get home too. But in the scene in the shower, bro, the soap, the shampoo lasted forever, dog. Did you have to reapply that shampoo multiple times? Because I remember that scene when you chop it up. It's just you're still going like, damn, my God.
So and that and again, we're in the shower with the real guys and all that. But we definitely had to. Keep it.
Bro, that was the longest lasting shampoo ever.
But this is another sort of inside Hollywood magic without CGI or whatever. They found a young guy who looked just like Miklo, who had lost his leg in a motorcycle accident. So you see when he says, "Hey, Magic, help me out," and you see me then I grab him and we kind of hop in, and he's got the Own the Snake on his back. That's his double.
Oh shit!
That's his leg double, and the same with the scene outside when he's with Billy Bob and Red Ryder. So it's this guy, but that scene is my mom saw the movie and she speaks pretty much just Spanish and there was there was the shower scene and she goes and she yelled like at the screening audience in Miami. She goes, yo sé ese culo. I know that ass.
Yeah, well, look, we're going to put this in. Well, first of all, I appreciate you guys even taking the time to fly out here just to do this because this is, like I said, this is a life goal. And I feel like there was a bigger purpose behind this conversation. And, you guys will learn something about me. I'm very persistent. So we're going to put this in the universe. We're going to do a Cookies, Blood In, Blood Out collab that will get us sued. That will make Disney come to the table and allow me to business to film out the Holy Grail, right? We'll get the Holy Grail edition, then we'll work out business to do part 2 where everyone's now current. That's my goal in life. That's why I wanted to manifest to happen. And I think it's probably going to work because I'm saying it on camera. So when I release, Cookies times Blood In, Blood Out, and I break some bread with my brothers and they see it performing well in big national stores, they're going to say, you owe us a conversation. I'm like, thank you. That's the way you get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Or we do the knockoff Cookie In, Cookie Out.
Oh, okay.
and come up with a new script based on characters with 4 ways and just go crazy. That's also an option because look, I'd rather put my money in talent than buying something that may not be possible. So we can talk about that, but
let's throw a shout out to your production partners, dude. 4 Ways Entertainment.
4 Ways, man.
Check him out in Slipping into Darkness and me and Addicted to You.
And we have I think we're going to be doing a lot more business together. I plan on partnering with 4 Ways on a bigger picture. We're doing the 4 films that we talked about, but I think we're talking about a bigger partnership, and so I'm sure we'll be working together in the future on other things. But
I'm excited about that because I wanted to see 4 Ways get a full feature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's we were supposed to do Splash City as a short, but when I started really paying attention to how good they were, I'm like, there's no fucking way. I'm gonna put
Tell us who's 4 Ways Entertainment?
Man, my brother Davey, my brother Alex, my brother John, and hopefully me.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, I'm about to be the 4th way, I think. So,
And again, when we're talking about next gen and the people that we've inspired, when we talk about the young people that come up to us, these are some youngsters, and we call them youngsters, but y'all are what, in your late 30s, 40s?
40,
yeah. So, they're chavalones to us, but they're next generation. They're doing it. So what they've done, when I worked on Addicted to You, I was so impressed by seeing nothing but raza on the set.
Yep.
Right? And I was reminded of Spike Lee and all of his films and how he was pushing the boundary in terms of representation and diversity in the industry. Hello, everything they're still talking about to date, 2023 still. 23 years later, yeah. So, and again, the authenticity of Blood In, Blood Out, and the reason it resonates is because talking about whether I knew it was going to be incredible, iconic, it didn't matter. We had one chance to represent ourselves in a major American film, and we all took that chance and did our best and brightest. And whatever got chopped up is that story that you see there, and it's the best and the brightest of everything we do. So following in those footsteps, when these youngsters come up to us and say, and I hate to be calling y'all youngsters, but hello, Slipping into Darkness, Victor, we want to work with you. We respect you. Can you be la 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 la? He says yes. Same thing with me. Addicted to You. Well, let me look at the script. I want to represent good, positive role models. Oh, yes, a father. Yes, this beautiful young lady who wrote this script, Ms. Balcazar. So I said, yes, absolutely. Let's do this film together. And so now you see the next generation becoming part of
and breaking barriers, because with Splash City, it's the same kind of politics on a different level. We have to tap in with certain people to make sure that things are authentic and good. And I told them, I said, listen, you guys have won Latino film festivals. It's time to win a film festival. Let's go. Let's stop putting ourselves in a box. Let's just go for it, right?
Good for believing.
And that's what we're gonna do. And I think we're gonna do that with Splash City. If we don't hit it with Splash City, we'll hit it with another film. But that's what the goal is right now. Let's stop putting ourselves in a box. We don't have to be Latino film festival or like Sony Latin. Like fuck all that shit. Why can we just hit a film festival, right? Yeah. That's the goal. So.
No, great.
I have to tell you, as a viejo, that it really touches me. It really moves me when younger raza coming up, and now they're making their projects and stuff, when they reach out and there's a kind of like being treated like an older statesman or something. And when they invite and they say, geez, would you do a little bit of in my thing? That to me is such an honor, and it is
respeto.
Sí, respeto, pero también es como un cariño.
Yes.
Like that. It's like being treated as a member of the family. And saying, let's.
They're still relevant to us.
Yeah, still, and you can still walk, right?
Talent matters. Talent matters. Yeah.
The funny thing about this today was, bro, we were all nervous. I mean, my guys usually have these cameras set up within like 2 seconds, but we wanted to make sure everything was perfect and dialed in. And when you guys walked in, I was in the middle of a panic attack because I was thinking like, wow, I'm high as shit. I was just thinking, what do I want to ask these guys? What am I going to do? But you guys came in with open arms and you guys came in with gifts, and I'm glad we had Chowder capture everything from the beginning before we even started filming, because that was the magic, was, you know, just us meeting and being able to chop it
You
up.
weren't expecting that, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting. Nah, never, brother. I wasn't even expecting this to actually really happen.
That's
right?
how Rasa does it, homie.
You know,
I
yesterday,
didn't bring flan, but
you know, yesterday was a long day, and I knew that, you know, today would be a long day, but I was so excited about today. I've been waiting for today for a while, and so
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys coming out here and sitting with us. And like I said, there's a bigger picture to all this, and hopefully we bring it home. I know we'll bring it home. So.
all right. Thank you, brother.
You got it,
Yes,
man.
very nice.
Blood
Now
in,
we're all
blood
about-
out, bound by honor, sangre por sangre. It's got
Yes.
3 titles. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen it in other. Have you seen posters from other? So in France, it's Princess de la Ville.
The princes of the city, or so, the
Princes
streets.
de la Ville,
Yeah.
And then in Italy, it's Pacto de Sangue, blood pact.
Yes.
In 2024, it's about to be the Holy Grail, the 4-hour and 45-minute version, man.
That's what I'm talking about. With extra Cruzito scenes.
Yes.
You know, okay, I'm gonna tell a funny story just to be comedic, all right? I always like to tell this story, even though it ain't true. I told Taylor, in the scene where they dropped me on the fire hydrant, I said, Taylor, can't you let Cruzito finish first before they break his back?
You should have been able to bust in that first.
He goes, Jesse, just do your job. All right. Just asking. Man. I'm just asking.
Thank you, my brothers. Appreciate you guys.
Beautiful
Great.
actress.
That's great. That's
My
terrific.
carnales right here.
All right. Okay. my
Moments,
brother.
right? Pieces. Smoke on the tour? Or?
Of course.
Say, you literally said on air that you're smoking all the time.
Yeah,
That you were smoking.
for sure. The stuff that's kind of come so they can see merchandise and understand what's going on with the brand. Vibes is my rolling papers company. I'll send you a nice box. We just partnered with Big Lighter, which is big. If you don't watch Blood In, Blood Out tonight, Chowder, you're not a real one, though. This is like the main lounge right here. It's where I kind of like host most of my meetings and cook for our clients and kind of get them fired up on like what we're gonna do in the future and stuff like that. Dopest art pieces ever right there.
No kidding. What is it?
It's by a guy named Dustin Yellen.
It looks like plants, doesn't it?
How's that, right? Who's the artist?
A guy named Dustin Yellen.
What, you want a camera? Is that what you
Yeah, my phone, I'm charging it, it died.
Crazy.
You know, my guy came here when this building was empty. I said, bro, I need you to paint something for the wall. He's like, well, tell me how you feel. And bro, it's
Yeah.
after I beat cancer, fucking, there's people trying to take my business away. I'm in the fucking waves. It's turbulent. But, you know, it's bright at the end of the day, bro. And that's
And you're in the Bay, man.
yeah.
It's a moment, a poem we want to dedicate to him because of the inspiration of this painting and what he's gone through and what he's going to go through, but where he's at. Pégale.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Wow. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools.
If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Damn, that's deep as shit.
If.
That's honestly the sum of what I'm dealing with. It was fucking pretty crazy. That's fucking pretty wild right there, dude.
Yeah, it's all there in that poem, right?
That's pretty fucking pretty
Whenever
wild.
you're down, bro, just look at that, read it. No camaradas came from your favorite art. And
He
give
said
it back
count,
to you.
but not too much.
No, all of it is balanced, bro. Neither foes nor loving.
Rudyard Kipling.
It is Rudyard Kipling.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking deep shit right there.
Yours, yeah.
Motherfucker really need to hear that right now.
Well,
It's Buddha, right? Buddhism.
you're doing it, brother.
Yeah, fucking tell him to suck my fucking poop.